Hello everyone, welcome into our latest live broadcast. It's Friday, the end of the week, the 26th of September. As we're into fall now, goodbye summer weather, you won't be missed. Out here in Phoenix. And what a day in Phoenix. Holy moly, it's just solid rain and gray skies. I think this is the heaviest rain we've had all this year. Bring it on, I don't think it's done yet. So if you start hearing weird noises in the background and seeing flashes of light, then it started back up again. And I think that might happen during today's show. So the heck with it. We're going to broadcast anyway in the midst of a heavy thunderstorm and see what happens. Again, it's the 26th of September, the year 2025. We mention the year because we go back on YouTube all the way to 2008, 2009. And if we don't mention the year, sometimes people don't realize that the content they're watching is old or new. So we just let you know right out of the gate. That becomes a part of the video, so we don't have to rely on people actually reading the title. Plenty of times people read the title to the video, they jump into the chat room and they go, "What's this video about?" I don't know how anybody could figure that out. I mentioned we were expecting some packages this week, but didn't know when they would arrive. And there are days, I've got to tell you, I love what I do, but there are days when I really, really love what I do. And today is one of those days, because late last night, and I mean late, this package arrived right here, which is awfully coincidental because this just officially went on sale today. What is it? It's the Ministorm MS-S1 MAX AI. This is going to be a very difficult item to review in less than 8 hours. This is over the top, crazy. Let me just get a few things right out of the gate, just so I hope you're sitting down. Built-in power supply with a full-size PC power cable, just like a normal tower. The built-in graphics on this AMD CPU are equivalent to, or even better than, an NVIDIA 4060, 4070. Now, if a 4070 graphics card is what? They're $600, I think, MSRP. And that AMD CPU is $800. Just the graphics capabilities alone, you're at $1,400. And we haven't even gotten to the case, the two 10 gig ports, USB4 version 2 and USB4, the regular version, for a total of four USB4 ports. This thing is over the top. And, you know, there's a price tag that comes along with it. Obviously, you're looking at, just to buy that CPU, if you could buy it, it's $800. That's what it's going to cost manufacturers to use the AMD AI 395 Plus. And that built-in graphics that it has is, it's the equivalent to like a 4060, 4070, or in many cases better than, depending on how you're using it. That's how good the integrated graphics are. It's a brand new first generation model of chip and design of computer here. So I'm expecting there'll be some refinements, maybe with BIOS updates. I don't know, but I would expect that a brand new product like this is probably going to knock you out of your chair. And when you hear the price on it, you might think it's expensive, but when you start adding it all up in your head, you'll realize this is a $3,000 computer all day. So just bear that in mind. They are not asking $3,000 for it. The reason I say that is when I tell you the price, I want you to understand that when you put all this together, if you were even able to, you're looking at about $3,000. Now, if we compare this to, let's say, the ProArt that we built for Mara, Mara's graphics card cost about the same as this, just her GPU. So that's another thing to consider. It's interesting to me how people will be shocked at the price of a computer, but then when it comes to graphics cards, the sky's the limit when it comes to spending. So if we're comparing this equally, then we need to compare it with other items that I think are of far less value, where this really brings home the value. This is not a PC for everybody. Let me tell you that right now. This is a PC for people that need a workstation. This is a PC for people who have rack-mounted servers and they want to add this into their rack, or home lab enthusiasts This is a PC for content creators with limited space. This is a PC for gamers who also need workstation capabilities or are the ones writing the games, designing the games. This would be an expensive gaming computer, and it would not perform as well as, let's say, Mara's ProArt, where she's got that dedicated 4090 or whatever that is. What I'm trying to get at is this does it all. This is a Swiss Army knife of computers on the high-end scale. This doesn't leave you lacking on anything. In fact, even the memory, the way the memory is being used in the chip, because the chip has the GPU, right? And it's got the CPU and it's got the neural processing unit. And those things have to communicate with each other. The way that they communicate has been enhanced, and we'll talk about that. I'm trying to think what it's called. But it speeds it up. Furthermore, the RAM this has is incredibly fast RAM. So when they threw components into this, they didn't just throw the cheap stuff in there. And they didn't go over the top and gold plate it and diamond coat it, okay? There is nothing on the market right now, so far as I can tell, that really competes with this, unless you're looking at other AI 395 machines. And if you are looking at them, you'll find that this actually has, as far as I know, the USB4 version 2, which I don't believe any of the others have. And they're pretty much all the same price. So I do feel like, compared to the others, this one is a better bang for the buck. I don't know. This is my first AI 395 that I'm going to test, but I've been so much looking forward to this. I'm expecting a lot. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, it's nothing special to look at. To look at it, it looks like any other standard. I don't know. I think HP has a little box like this. They kind of look alike. But HP isn't going to give you the value for the money that Ministorm is. And it's a black box. No RGB. There's no none of the over-the-top things like HP likes to use Torx bits to open this machine. You don't even need a tool to open this machine. So I'm basing this on preliminary information that I looked up just prior to the show beginning, so I'd have some clue to know what I'm talking about, because this is so filled with so much stuff. I don't think we can get to all of it, or even half of it, during our normal show. The kinds of tests people run on this, from having your own large language model running locally, dual 10 gig Ethernet ports, and the opportunities that opens up. The USB4 version 2, which I'm not aware of any accessories that use that yet. So, you know, it's a chicken or egg. Somebody's got to go first. 80 gigabits per second on those ports. And then on top of that, the expandability on the inside. It's very expandable. There's a couple little tricky things about it, and I'll bring that to your attention as well. It doesn't bother me at all, but, well, for example, this has a PCI Express slot that you can slot a card into, and it's a by 16 slot. Unfortunately, even though it's a full by 16 slot, it's only wired up to by 4. So the marketing materials will say this has a PCI 16 slot, and it does. But you got to read the fine print to say that that's only going to run at ×4 speed. So, you know, it's not perfect. There's definitely room for improvement. But more importantly, how you're going to use it and compare it to other alternatives that you would use to accomplish that same goal. This is going to be smaller. It's going to sip power compared to the larger workstations. And it's a lot smaller, a lot smaller. So if space is a constraint for you, or if you're worried about your energy consumption, this thing will run anywhere from 15 watts at idle upwards to, gosh, I don't know. I would imagine 160, 200 watts when you really crank on it, maybe more. I think it's over 300 watt power supply. You know what? Let's just start looking at the specs instead of me just pulling information out of my memory, because I have a terrible memory and I might get some of the numbers fudged. And we'll start out by just going to Minisforum's website, which is the only place you can order this right now. I'm sure it'll be available on Amazon soon enough, but this is the normal, you know, Minisforum typically introduces their products on their site. They'll sell out of whatever they have, and then the second batch or the third batch that comes in, they'll fulfill warehouses in places like Germany. So if you live in Europe, you don't have to worry about tariffs. They fill their warehouse in Germany, so people in countries in Germany and around Germany is what I mean to say. They're able to then order locally, essentially, and avoid any tariffs there. And they do the same thing here in the USA. When Minisforum sent this to me, it arrived yesterday. There was no tariff. There was no holdback. I've only experienced that one time. So somehow something has changed, or Minisforum has figured out whatever the steps are they have to take to avoid that, not only for the USA, but for other countries as well. So do keep that in mind. So let's jump over to the chat real quick. Let me jump over to the chat real quick and say hello to everybody, especially our friend Buster, who sent us an Amazon gift card in lieu of a super chat, as he always does. Thank you, Buster. Jonathan Fells says hello, as does Mike Gamer, Eddie Casanova, and William Bird joining us. There's Dustin Fuller and Ron Barnish, Michael Lavelle, and Mats Olov saying hello. Mark Gaines and Andy W6AD, along with Scott Messerschmidt and Caniac44 saying hello. There's David Graham joining us, along with Gary Bickle and David Herzog. Buster, joining us in Scotland, says the temperature right now at Edinburgh, 54 degrees Fahrenheit or 12.2 degrees Celsius. I think the temperature in Phoenix isn't that far from that, honestly. It's nice and cool out there. It's going to be warmer than that, but for us, it says it's 75 degrees Fahrenheit right now, if I'm reading that correctly. Let me get my glasses. I can't see. I want to make my font like those old people. What do you mean, those old people? You mean you old people? Is that what you're saying, Gary? Yeah, 75. See, I still got it. 75 degrees Fahrenheit here in Phoenix right now. Let me tell you, after 3 months of 100+ degree temperatures, 110+ degree temperatures, whew, want to open the windows and the doors and let that cool air in. I don't know if my air conditioner is going to know what to do with itself. Take a day off. Essential Working Too Hard says hello. There's Scott joining us. And I see 3D Everything, Mark Gaines, and let's see, I said David Herzog already. Anthony Pete says hello. Brad Ravel joining us here in our live chat. If you're watching us, please join us in the chat room so we can talk to you. You can talk to each other. This is an interactive video. This is not television. You can watch it on your television, but then pull it up on your phone and you can talk to us. What other television show does that? Congratulations, you found it. All right. Dennis joins us, says hello, as does Francisco Oma. Dazzle555 and Ben Laird join us. Ben is also joining us from Scotland as well. It's a perfect dork, says performance means more to me than flashy. I'm with you. Chris Johnson says hello. Alan with a Y says hello. Jim Kenny joining us in the chat along with Todd Wickham, John Paul Bacon, Chris Johnson. Rick Legs joins us. Good to see you, Rick. Luke Greeny is saying hello from very cool off Vermont. Oh, I bet those leaves are getting ready to change soon. That's going to be beautiful in Vermont, I bet. Ian Gooch joining us from London. I want to say London. Contributes a 20-pound super chat. Thank you. Cheers, Ian. Al Perez joins us along with Matt. Planet Cryos with a $5 super chat. He says, I want that mini PC. Awesome unit for sure. Hello, all. You're going to have to fight me for it, Planet Cryos. Planet Cryos just uploaded a couple of new videos to his channel. If you didn't know, he has a YouTube channel, and if you haven't checked him out, be sure after the show today, if you're looking for more to watch, check out Planet Cryos' channel. If you like my content, I think you'll enjoy his content as well, as it follows a lot of the same or similar, computer tech related BIOS updates, computer gadgets, etc. Frankie B joins us. Good to see you, Frankie. And I think I've said hello to everybody. I have not intentionally left anybody out, but if I have, you could say, hey, what about me? The MS-S1 MAX. Why am I so excited about it? How is this any different than other items? I mean, I was excited about the N5 Pro, right? That was well, stop for a minute. I was excited about the MS-S1 workstation. If you remember that, that's my go-to. I keep it right there whenever I need to do, samples or things. I need a demonstration unit. That's my go-to because that thing's a monster. It's a beast. And then they came out with the MS-A1, which is the AMD Ryzen version, then the MS-A2, and there should be a follow-up to the MS-S1. That's all I know. I don't know when. And then they said, somebody at Ministorm said, why is it all network attached storage always have these really low-end processors? Well, generally it's because you want to keep power low, the fan noise down, and more people are interested in having more bays than so much as having the latest and greatest processor. You start putting an $800 processor in a NAS, and you're going to have a very expensive network attached storage drive that's completely empty before you add another couple grand worth of drives. So why would you do that? And Minisforum said, well, why wouldn't you? So they came out with the N5 Pro, well, the N5 and N5 Pro, which combine effectively the MS-S1 and then put it in a larger housing that can hold a bunch of drives, and then give you the option to boot into Windows or boot into the NAS. Makes my head explode, because a NAS with that much power is effectively a server. Like, you can run all kinds of virtual machines remotely. I mean, just some crazy possibilities with that. Now, their operating system is their own, and it's not quite done yet. So, while I am impressed with the N5 Pro as it stands today, I don't yet deploy it for my own use because it's not good enough for me to use regularly. But they are constantly upgrading and refining their operating system. And the first year Synology came out, I didn't use them either. Just saying. When companies have had time to establish themselves in a market, their first product might be impressive and very aggressively priced to get some new fans on board. But after that, then starts the polishing process. And the polishing process could take months, it could take a year. Usually within a year, everything is polished, and then they just continue to polish year after year after year, so it just gets better and better and better. That's how it's supposed to go. So the N5 Pro, well, we've initially looked at that. We will be bringing it back to take another look and see what the software updates have brought it to, and if we've gotten out of beta or not on their operating system. In the meantime, you still don't even have to use it as a NAS. You can still boot to Windows and still use the workstation bottom half of it all on its own like you would any other workstation. It's an insane idea, and I love it because there's really nobody else in the marketplace other than Minisforum. They have no competition for that, as far as I can see. And in much the same way, the competition Minisforum has on this is very, very limited. There are other companies that have announced using this new AI 395, I think it's called the MAX processor, but they're all going to be around the $2,000 range. I'm going to just tell you that right now. That's an $800 CPU. So unless AMD starts charging less for it, anybody that's using the CPU has some built-in, expenses equally, and then how they choose to design the case or cooling or added features is entirely up to them to make it uniquely theirs. So whether you're looking for something for gaming, or you're looking for something for work, or you're looking for something for local language models, video processing, AI, image generation, all this kind of stuff, there's a variety to pick from. Right now, not much of one. Okay, but again, we're talking, this is a brand new chip from AMD, and who knows what the next generation of this AMD chip will be. It's sort of like, wow, this is so amazing. Take a moment and just think about it. As amazing as this is, what's the next one going to be like in a year or so? The problem with technology is if you want to wait and see, you'll never buy anything, because there's always something new and exciting coming out from everyone all the time. So with that, I want to show you the website, Minisforum's website, which right now is the only place you can order this. And let's take a look at the way that they are promoting it and all the specs, and then we'll take it out of the box. This box is sealed. Everything you're seeing is unscripted, live, and unrehearsed. It'd be really embarrassing if I took this out and it didn't work, like if it got damaged in shipping. But if that happens, it's on camera live, just so you know. Some people have some concerns still today about receiving bad product, and you know, that's not a perfect world. But I receive bad product so infrequently that I have the confidence to go live, and I couldn't even tell you the last time we had a product that was bad out of the box. It's been 3-4 years maybe, and all the products, we get one bad one once in a while. And that's not necessarily the manufacturer's fault. That's usually the shipper mishandling the package. But be that as it may, let's jump over to Minisforum's website here. Now, we've got the link to the website in the video notes. Mara has put that there for us, as always. And let's jump over to the window capture here. There it is. All right, like I said, not a whole lot to look at here. It's a good 2.5 times the size of a normal mini PC, or at least 2.5 times the size of the MS-S1 workstation, I should say. It's probably 4 to 5 times larger than a quote-unquote mini PC. This almost feels more like a little micro PC, or just another terminology to separate them. But it's 2U in height. So if you have a rack, your rack will have areas in it for 1U height, 2U, 3U, etc. This one is 2U in height. Now you'll see the price here, $2,299. Let's get that out of the way, because they really think it's worth nearly $2,900. And there is a coupon. Since the product has just been released, there's an additional coupon, and that information, I believe, is in our video notes. And if you sign up with PayPal, you can make payments on it. So dreams can come true. You can part with $123.86 a month and no interest. I'm telling you, if you pay it off in 12 months, well, this obviously wouldn't be 12 months, would it? Hold on, let me see. This is a little different. Purchase amount with that. If you paid the full price, right, without using the coupon, you could pay it off at $219.62. Oh, those interest rates are painful. Never mind. Now, don't be buying anything on credit if it's more than about 19% interest. That's way too high. But PayPal does have some 0% interest options, just so you know. Anyway, that way, if you order it from PayPal, you get it right away. And then other things like layaway, those are things where you have to pay, and until you've paid it off, then you get it. But of course, there is no interest on layaway. That being said, let's take a look at the specs. This is a pre-order. Their estimated shipping time is the end of October, so we're very fortunate to get one of the first models released. As we mentioned, the AMD Ryzen AI Max Plus 395, up to 126 TOPS. That's nearly 2.5 times what we've seen from their other AI models from AMD. Look at this RAM, DDR5, 8,000 mega transfers. Yeah, 8,000. You know that's not cheap, right? That's not cheap RAM. USB4 version 2, you get 2 of those. Dual 10 gig copper LAN adapter, LAN connections. Yeah, two of those, not just one, two. And it's Wi-Fi 7 as well. So if you could SMB3, think about this for a minute. If you could SMB3, the two 10s together, that'd be 20. And then if you add the Wi-Fi 7, we know with MLO, right, you'd probably be looking at close to 25 gigabits per second. That is enterprise server level of speed. Not that I would, but you might. Here we talk about that PCIe X16 expansion. So the slot is an X16 slot, and an X16 card will fit and work in there, but only at X4 speeds, okay? Okay. Now the unit as it's spec'd out at $2,300 here includes 128 gigs of RAM and 2 terabytes of storage. The storage I'm sure is all gonna be Gen 4, I'm pretty sure. So we're not going super high end on the SSD, but we are going super high end on the RAM, and that's a lot of RAM. So if you were to add all this up individually and see what your price comes to, I think you'll be shocked at what a great value this is. Whether or not you need it, I couldn't tell you, but you know, do the math. If I'm wrong, let me know what numbers you come up with. Remember, you got to pay for that 4070 graphics card if you wanted to build something similar. All right, so a little bit about the AI capability. What I was talking about with the way the CPU can communicate internally with the NPU side, the GPU side, and the CPU side, it's called unified memory architecture. And basically, it's eliminating the VRAM bottlenecks, low latency speed. And it's this UMA, or unified memory architecture, that can speed things up quite a bit in the communication between the different components of the CPU itself, as well as other devices that you're communicating from, different chipset, etc. This is scalable, meaning you could stack these in a 2U rack. You could just put one on top of another and hook them all up together. You've also got a really interesting thermal solution here, that this thing is not going to run hot. It might feel warm, but it's not going to run warm. It's going to be, essentially, this whole case appears to act like a heat sink. Not so hot that you can't touch it, but it might be hot enough that you're like, that seems a little concerning. But then if you actually look at your internal temps, then you'll find that the internal temps are actually quite good. I think you'll find, and again, we'll test some of that today. So here we go. They do have full disclosure that the PCIe is Gen 4x4, and it is a full-length X16 slot. Lots of I/O on this, we've covered, and the power supply is a 320 watt power supply built right into it, which of course adds a little more heat in there. That would explain maybe if it does seem to run warm, you've got that power supply generating heat inside. So who's this computer for? Well, it's for AI enthusiasts, it's for geeks and power users. What about us nerds? I don't even list nerds. I feel like I've been alienated. Creative professionals? All right, well, that's a nerd. And of course, it can be used in enterprise and business, right? Anything from marketing and advertising, generating 3D modeling and such for marketing, regional security monitoring, SME workflows, as well as AI training and AI education. So yeah, universities could be using this, home users can be using it. It's all over the map with where you wanna, how you wanna use it and where it could be useful. That AMD Ryzen AI Max is a Zen 5 CPU. It's got the new RDNA 3.5 GPU and a next-gen neural processing unit. It's 16 cores and 32 threads, delivering RTX 4070 laptop-level GPU performance plus 50 TOPS NPU acceleration. It achieves more efficient AI inference. So we kind of covered all that, 126 TOPS through the GPU, CPU combo there, and the unified memory architecture. Peak power consumption, well, I see scores. Where's our peak power? Oh, 160 watt peak power and 130 watt sustained. And then there's some 3D Mark and Cinebench and Geekbench scores for you. And of course, what's this? Multimodal support. This must be AI models. Yeah, DeepSeek, Cogito. Anyway, Cogito. I don't know how you say that. So yeah, you could use this on your desk, or you could stick it in a rack. You could conform. You can create clusters. And yeah, it's crazy. It's a solid aluminum body. There's not plastic. I guess the front and rear bezels will be plastic, but this thing is, my understanding is nice solid cover. It's not very flexible. We'll verify that, but it seems like it's a nice thick aluminum cover. A couple of fans in there that take the entire width of the unit. And advanced phase change material is the essential liquid metal. It liquefies water. Wait a minute, not water. It liquefies under heat to permanently fill microscopic imperfections between the chip and the cooler, resulting in superior thermal transfer to standard thermal pastes. If I were you, I would not try to replace this, because whatever you do to it won't be as good as this. I can almost promise you, the way they do it at the factory, no human can do. A machine does this with an absolute precision. So unless you have one of those machines, I would not, if I were you, make the decision to try to improve that. I also wouldn't recommend you throw it off the roof of a building, but you might do it anyway. I don't know why, but people do things. There's your airflow. I'm not sure what that graphic was really showing us. You can understand, as we're just going through this product page, this marketing page, there's so much to go over. This has a built-in microphone that's got noise canceling already into it. So they're saying if you're like in a Zoom meeting or anything like that, you don't need to buy a headset. You don't need to put the microphone next to your mouth, and you don't have to worry about sounding echoey, that this thing auto-corrects it. That sounds pretty darn good. We might try it, see if it works. You've got different power modes: performance mode, balance mode, quiet mode, and rack mode. It should, out of the box, arrive in balanced. I am a fan of balance. I'm all about yin and yang. I'm all about good and evil, dark and light, front and back, left and right, up and down. I like balance. So for me, I would leave it in balance mode personally, because that's just the guy I am. When you increase performance mode, you're going to increase the noise. So there's your decibel meters, depending on what noise level. If you're sensitive to that, you can control that based on your performance mode. And in rack mode, it just doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Because when you're somewhere where there's a rack mounted server, they're loud. So this thing will be quiet by comparison, but it might seem loud by comparison of a desktop computer or any other type of mini PC. So depending on what you're comparing it against, and then you can adjust that to your preference regardless. It's got this connector that can turn all the clusters on at the same time. Push one power button and every computer in the cluster turns on. I won't get into that because number one, I only have one of these, and number two, I have no use for a cluster, but you might. This unit has rubber feet on the bottom and rubber feet on one side, so you can rest it flat or vertically to your preference. It's got rubber feet on both sides, so you can see the rubber feet down here on the right, on the bottom side, and rubber feet down here, down by the power connector, so it won't scratch up your desk. Looking over the connectors, we've got the power button right up here, USB, let's see, the dynamic microphone, there are two of them, so apparently stereo, left and right. That's number 2. And it says there's 2, but I just see number 2 here. They must be right near each other because I don't see another number 2. Because it says ×2. USB 3.2 Gen 2, that's 10 gig per second. That's number 3 right there, that blue port. USB 4, those are the 40 gig per second that also just have a display port out and power delivery out up to 15 watts. That's number 4. That's displayed right here, which would include both of them, I believe. Yeah, because it says ×2, so they're going to be side by side. And then the 3.5 millimeter audio jack, if you still want to wear a headset or plug-in speakers, there you go, or headphones. Of course, with headphones, you could just go Bluetooth. A little bit more on the CPU, the TDP, the GPU, AI engine performance. You can read all that, plus more if you're interested in the heat dissipation, wireless connectivity. Ethernet controller video output supports 5 monitors. Yeah, crazy, right? Audio output goes through HDMI or 3.5 millimeter or Bluetooth. Audio input, you've got the built-in microphones. It says there's 2 of them. And on the front of the unit, as we mentioned before, you've got your USB 4, 3.2, 3.5, and your dynamic microphones. On the rear, 2 10 gig Ethernet LAN connections. They're the Realtek RTL8127s, both are the same. 2 more USB 3.2 Gen 2s that are 10 gigs per second. 2 USB 2.0s, perfect place for a keyboard to mouse to go. And on the back, 2 more USB 4s. Only these are version 2, USB 4 version 2. That's 80 gigabits per second. I don't have anything that runs at 80 gigabits per second, but again, chicken or the egg, something's got to go first, right? Something's got to come first. So apparently, Ministorm is, as far as I know, one of the first to market USB 4 version 2. So if I had something USB 4 version 2, I would never have been able to use it until now. But instead, it's the other way around. Okay. And it does have the single HDMI. That's 2.1. That supports up to 8K at 60 hertz or 4K at 120 hertz. So there's your PCIe 16 slot. That is actually running at Gen 4x4. And you've got a power button and a BIOS reset hole. Windows 11 Pro 24H2 is installed, but of course you could put Home on it. Anything you can put Home on, you can put Pro on, so I'm not quite sure why they've mentioned in that's no different than any other computer. And then your AC input information with regards to the power supply, your dimensions and weight. I think we got through just just that. And I want to say, what is there, $300 off right now, if I'm not mistaken? I believe there's a coupon code. And if we take a look at our video notes, let me jump over here. Let me pause my own video. I'll go to my video notes. On sale. I don't see the coupon code. Well, let's use their link. Maybe their link has the coupon code here. Oh, I was on their link. What am I talking about? Where is the coupon? You know what? There is, I know for a fact, there's a coupon on this, and I don't know why we don't have it. So I'm going to put Mara to work on that. I want to say, if we go back over to, let's come over to camera 1 for a second. Where did I see it? I think I saw it. Minisforum has their own YouTube channel. And they're about 12 hours difference from us. So they did their own announcement on YouTube.
There is no coupon. It's on sale, and if you look at the site, you can see the price now in red because it's on sale.
Well, that's the sale price on the website, but there's a early bird price, which is an additional. So when Minisforum was running their live announcement last night, let's see if I can bring up their page, and I'll share that with everybody here. Don't go anywhere. Hold on. Let's go to more. It's a $200 $200 new launch coupon, ends October 3rd. S1 MAX is your coupon code. And then while he was live last night, there was an additional $30 off, and you could stack those two together. And they're including a $60 gift game controller or Bluetooth Lite as well. So I'm not sure how much of this were just for the live video last night, but this coupon that's $200 off is S1 MAX, all in capitals. And it's a $200 new launch coupon that's good until October the 3rd.
All right, I'll go test it. It's pouring outside.
I'm hearing it thunder.
Pouring.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
If you go out there, are you going to melt? Don't melt.
All right.
All right, let me get back over to camera one. I knew there was a coupon on that. I'm always looking out for you guys. Come on. And Ben LaFleur, don't mind me losing my balance. Ben LaFleur said he got a $200 code, coupon code in email from Ministorm. If you sign up for Ministorm newsletter, it's not just about spamming you. Like, they're genuinely offering you codes and letting you know about their latest products and reminding you about their refurbished products that a lot of people forget about. The best time to buy a product is when everybody forgot about it. Because if they make a big announcement and they say, hey, you know, or some popular content creator goes, look at all these deals over here on the refurbished side. And people, oh, I didn't know they had a refurbished side. And then before you know it, by the time you find out about it, all the good stuff's gone. So it's a good way, if you're interested in this sort of stuff and you're always looking for a good deal, get their newsletter. They don't bombard you with emails every day. So just so you know. And you can follow them on YouTube if you want to see their latest content, where they're often showcasing their new releases. And we don't get all of them, so you know. Just because I'm showing you a lot of Ministorm product, I'm not showing you all Ministorm product. If we did that, we'd have to probably change the background to say, at that point, they would probably own us. And you know what? I'd be okay with that. I'm very impressed with their company and the quality of the products and prices, but I feel very fortunate to get to work with them. Because when I look at other mini PC manufacturers, we're so let down so often with either quality or misrepresentation or lack of support, or the prices are outrageous. Ministorm has been very consistent with us, and they've never pulled the rug out from under me. And I've got to say, when you combine that with good quality products, you've heard me complain about companies that have a good product, but they're a terrible company. But nothing's better than having a good company with a good product. And so for that reason, anytime I get an offer from Ministorm, whether it's to check a portable monitor or a keyboard, items we don't normally review, if Ministorm's making it, we make an exception. That's how strongly loyal I am to what I believe is the leader in the mini PC space. They're an innovator, others copy them. And sometimes others don't copy them, in the sense that, as far as these workstations go, are there competitions for the MS-S1 and MSA2? I haven't seen them. So anyway, that's just how I feel. Uncle Elmer with the $10 super chat. Carey, can you do a video or tell us how, if possible, to install a TPM module in a laptop that shows there's no TPM in the system? A little off topic here, but just very quickly to address your question, because we are live and we don't want to alienate anybody. And since we haven't gotten to the unboxing yet, we'll take a break for just a second. First of all, thank you for the super chat support. Secondly, a trust platform module, or TPM, is something necessary in Windows 11. And it has been built into the CPU for at least, I'd say, about 10 years. So this idea, like our graphics card in this, is built into the CPU. That TPM you're talking about should already be built into your CPU. If what you're trying to do, because you're not telling us what the laptop is, you're making me guess, which, listen, maybe you don't know, but in order for anybody to help you, I don't know what kind of laptop you have. You could have a MacBook for all I know. You could have a Chromebook. I don't know what you have. So that's number one. The second thing you haven't told me, which I don't understand why, is why do you want TPM? Because if you think that TPM is the only thing holding you back from installing Windows 11, you're probably wrong. Windows 11 requires a more advanced CPU that has optimizations and security features that started around the 8th gen of Intel and 2nd gen of Ryzen. As a result, there's nothing you can do other than replace the computer if you want to meet compliance. With that being said, I'm guessing because that's the most common thing people ask and why, but you may have completely different information, and because you did not tell me, I am left to assume you're like the rest of the masses who have oversimplified what TPM is and what Windows 11 security requires, which is far more than just TPM. It's also possible you have a laptop that's newer, in which case you just have to turn the TPM on in the BIOS. But TPM is no longer a separate thing. It's been built into the CPU for ages. Okay, and he says he's got a Lenovo IdeaPad Z7. So if I just quickly look, I'm not familiar with that model, but a Lenovo IdeaPad Z7 release date, how old is this? 2015, looks like. It says a Z7 does not appear to exist in the Z series naming scheme. The last known in that line were the Z41 and the Z51 back in 2015. So I think maybe you've typoed or you've misread. It doesn't matter if it's an Intel i7, i5, or i3. They've been making Intel i7s, i5s, and i3s for the last 15 years. So I need to know which generation. You have to have 8th generation or newer, and you still haven't told me why you're asking me the question. Why do you want TPM? What is it you're trying to accomplish? I've had people ask me questions that are completely unrelated to what they're trying to accomplish, and what they're doing, they don't realize it, is they're instead of telling me what they're trying to accomplish, they think they know how to get to what they're going. How do I get to 87th Street and Camelback? Oof. Why are you going to 87th Street and Camelback? Well, because there's a Costco over there. Okay, but there's a Costco 2 blocks the other way. Is there some reason you need to go to that Costco? No. Well, then, if I gave you the directions you're asking for, you would eventually get there in about an hour. But if you tell me where you're trying to go, you can get there in 10 minutes. So, dude, please let us know what it is you're trying to accomplish, and we can be much more useful to you. Okay? And I need the model number, not the CPU. I need the model number of the laptop, and we can determine if that's even possible. So again, I appreciate your question, and Dennis mentions he has an i7 Lenovo 360 that does not have TPM in the CPU, and it can't be upgraded to Windows 11. So basically, you guys must have laptops that are about 10 years or older. That would be my guess. Indoma 2000 mentions a laptop from 12 years ago in 2013. You're not going to put Windows 11 on it legitimately, and I wouldn't if I were you, even if you could, because you're going to be a massive security issue. Instead, just stay with Windows 10. Go ahead and get your extended security updates for the next year. Any laptop more than 6 years old should be considered to be replaced within the next 3 years. So you're already long past. 6 years is the lifespan. You can get another 3 years on average if it's well taken care of. Beyond that, unless you're going to take it offline and not use it on the internet, it's just a general rule. Laptops, they just can't keep up the same way a desktop can. They're not as upgradable. That's the cost of portability. And you probably have a bad battery in it. It's old Wi-Fi. It just goes on and on and on. The screen won't be as good as a modern day screen. And when you start to fix everything up, you're already at the cost of a new laptop.
Both coupon codes work stacked together. That is a killer deal on.
All right, so those coupon codes we just showed you, will you add them to the video notes?
I already did.
Mara has is already on it. She's already added the $30 off and the $200 off
yes,
for a total of $230 off.
That is correct.
And I don't know how long that $30 off coupon is good for, but the $200 coupon is good until October 3rd. That much they've made clear. And Uncle Elmer, if you want to follow up with us with further details, please join us in our forums over at CareyHolzman.boards.net. I can pull that up and show it to you here real quick before we get to this unboxing. So this is an open forum platform where everybody's welcome to join in the conversation. If people have their own opinions they want to share with you, if they want to help you cross the railroad tracks when the train's coming, I'm not going to help you, but others might. I'm going to tell you to wait for the train to pass. Let's do CareyHolzman. If I can spell my own name. Wow, I am terrible today. And there's a link to this in our video notes. There, I finally was able to type that out. And when that's going to look like this when you go there. And we need you to log in. Now, look, I don't want your name and email, but I have to collect it to know you're not a spammer, and if you are, to have a way to block you. Because that's the world we live in now. I need a way to block you if you turn out to be a spammer or a bot or a jerk. And the only way we know to do that is to restrict your ability to join the conversation. You can read the conversation. You don't have to log in to read. But if you want to join the conversation, we need to be able to block you should you start turning into a bot, or you let you set your password to password and somebody easily guessed it and you didn't know about it, and now they're logging in as you without your knowledge and they're leaving all kinds of racist or spammy messages or trying to spread viruses. So that's why we require the login. We don't email you, we don't contact you. It's all automated to verify you're a real person, and that's the end of that, and that's why. And if the world wasn't such, if people didn't do this to each other, if people were nice to each other, we wouldn't need this. All right, so this is what people have demanded. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you don't like it. Talk to your neighbors and talk to the community and talk to the people in other countries. And if you can get them all agree to just leave each other alone, my sincerest thank you. Okay. But no conspiracy theory there. All right, so again, that would be a great place for you to go for more information. Uncle Elmer says it's just something a lot of people need to know. Well, if you can't tell me who needs to know, I'm not quite sure what benefit it is to you or me to discuss it. Like, I know people that are on certain medications to solve health issues they have, but for you and I to talk about it has nothing to do with them. And the internet is filled with a bunch of people who jump on bandwagons who have nothing to do with any association other than they're social justice warriors, and they fight for what they think is right when they really don't have a clue what's going on. So again, my highest recommendation would be, let us help you. Please do not ask a question for somebody else. If they want to know, they'll ask. If they want to know, but they won't ask, so you're asking on their behalf, they don't want to know. They just want to complain. There's a difference between, there's people who want to know, and then there's people who take the effort to find out. If you think you need to take the effort because they're too lazy, oh, I don't know, it's too far beyond me. I'm telling you, man, you're in for a world of disappointment ahead of you. But if you have any actual issues yourself, we can help you. But if you're trying to represent somebody else, there's really not much anybody can do for you, because it's all gossip and hearsay. At that point, it's just the telephone game where without the proper information, we're just spinning wheels and wasting time. And ultimately, when you tell them, they're not going to listen anyway. I've been down this road so many times. If they really wanted to know, truly and honestly, they would know. They would ask us, or they would ask another source themselves. At no point should you feel the need to have to ask a question on behalf of somebody else and actually believe they're going to listen to you or appreciate your effort. More times than not, they don't care. I can tell you this because I've had a number of people who call me in my real live business, and they go, hey, my neighbor, my friend, my coworker, they're just complaining every day about their computer and that they can't get anybody to fix it. And I recommended them to you. Is that okay? I said, yeah, it's fine. And they said, well, can you tell me what I can tell them, to fix their problem? I go, well, I have to ask a bunch of questions that only they know. So just have them call me. Give them my phone number, and I really appreciate it. And I need to talk to them directly. I don't need to talk. Like, what are you, their butler? Are you the concierge? Are they too good to call me? They're welcome to call me. When they call me, I'll help them with their problem. When you call me, I'll help you with your problem. And everybody can get help. And if they don't call me, and by the way, very rarely in this scenario does the person they're talking about who needs all this help ever agree that they ever needed any help. So if I call them out of curiosity, and I don't do this anymore, but I would call and say, John? Yeah, well, John called me, said you're having computer problems. He did? Yeah, he said he was giving you my number and you were going to call me. No, I'm not having any computer problems. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't even know who you are. But you have a computer? Yeah. And you were having problems? Well, they're nothing I couldn't already fix myself. So, well, that explains why you didn't call. It turns out to be a huge waste of time for everybody. And it's confusing for me, it's confusing for them. And the person in the middle who wasn't asked to do it, who volunteered, did it all for nothing. So don't be that guy. It's just a road of disappointment, my friend. All right? But if you have an actual issue yourself, any of you, we're more than happy to help you. All right, with that, let's get back to the unboxing. So the the MS-S1 MAX AI. It's time to unbox. We've got something with accessories here. I know it's not a power supply because that's built in. What do we got? We've got a, I don't know what that is. We have a small screw. And it looks like little plastic, little see-through washers. You can't probably see them on the camera, but they're clear washers. Looks like there's 5 of them in there. I don't know why. Clear plastic washers. This looks like some kind of a key puller, like you might see on a keyboard. I'm not quite sure what that's used for either. Oh, look, they include a free heatsink if you want to add a heatsink to the NVMe that's in there now. My understanding is it does not have a heatsink, but you can add one. Or if you like, if you're adding a second NVMe, because it will hold 2, you could put this on your second one. It's nice that they include that. I didn't expect that. Then, of course, an HDMI cable and a standard PC power cable. Your basic introduction documentation that Ministorm includes with all their PCs. That's, I guess, specific to this one, of course. And then the rest of this should be computer. There's no wasted space here. Look at this packing. Oh my goodness. Look at how thick that foam is. I got a feeling this thing arrived in perfect condition because that's a lot of space between the edges of the box. So let's go ahead and get this out of here. Woo! I'm gonna get a workout today. Price per pound, it's a pretty good deal. I'll tell you that right now. Let's see. There we go. There's a front of the unit. Back of the unit. your low profile slot over here, that 5/16 slot there. Everything else, there's your rubber feet here, so if you want to set this up right. But you also have rubber feet down here, so you can also set it this way. I'm quickly running out of space on my desk. Just put this up here. Now, as far as opening this up, my understanding is there's some kind of a latch, or is it screws? Maybe it, I'm thinking of the MS-S1 had a little squeeze. I was thinking this was what this did, but no, this is a cover for the any PCIe card would lock in with that piece there. But I do see 2 screws here. So maybe it is not a toolless opening like I thought it was. But I can handle 2 screws. I can do that. In fact, they look like regular old screws, so I should be able to power them right out of there. And I think they're captive, so the screws don't come out. You don't have to worry about dropping and losing them. Yes, no? Is that all I have to do? Just those 2 screws, right? Oh, the screws are not captive. They do come out. There's one. Take it back. Those screws do come out. Don't lose them. And as you can see, the unit just comes out. And first of all, we got to talk about this. This is crazy. I've heard that this was pretty thick metal, but I got to show you close up just how thick this is. I don't even know if I can bend this. It is awfully thick. All metal. All right, so this is like 1.5 pounds all by itself in weight. And this, here's the good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Let me bring this up. These 2 fans, they're going to run to keep this bad boy cool. They got to go across the whole thing, but they don't really give you much in the way of cooling for your NVMe. So you've got your pre-installed 2 terabyte Kingston, you've got your Wi-Fi 7 card, and then just above the Wi-Fi 7 card, there's another M.2 that you can run over that. And yeah, you can get a heatsink there. You can get a heatsink on there if you wanted to. Low profile will fit. It would have been nice if they did something for heat sinks on these, but you know, it's not a perfect world. There's give and take everywhere. Flip it around this side, there's your ×16 slot there. The CPU is being held in there with that bracket. We've got an additional cooling fan right here for the power supply. Yeah, that's our big power supply right there, and the details on that. Pretty easy to get in there. And then it looks like we've got 2 screws here and 2 screws here, and this whole piece will come off if you need to get under there for any reason. What? That's a thumbnail moment brought to you by CareyHolzman. All right. Should we fire it up? See if any smoke comes out? Jeez. It's heavy. You know, I'm old school. When we went shopping for boom boxes or telephones, we wanted it to have a good weight to it. That's how you could tell the good stuff from the crap. So this is old school, where it's like, oh, this is good. Based on how heavy this is, it must be good. That's 1980s logic for you. All right, let's get it powered up. So what am I going to need? First boot up, so we're not plugging in any internet. We need HDMI, power, and a keyboard and a mouse. That's it. So keyboard and a mouse, we're going to use one of the USB 2 slots. Not that we have to, but why would I waste a high-speed port for a keyboard or a mouse? It's not like I'm going to type or scroll any faster. Make sure that that's turned on and this is turned on. I need an HDMI cable to my capture card, which I'm sure I'm standing on. Somewhere down here, it's got to be, come on. I will really, one of these days, get this all organized. HDMI. We only have one HDMI port here. However, if you wanted to use any of those USB 4 ports, you can buy a cable on Amazon that's less than $10, and that enables you to convert the USB-C on one side to HDMI or to DisplayPort. That way you don't have to switch your cables out. If you already have multiple monitors that are HDMI, or if you have multiple monitors that are DisplayPort, keep the cables you've got, just buy the adapter. Oops, put that over here. Finally, I need a power cable. So here on the floor, I just need a standard, everyday, ordinary PC power cable, the same as your desktop probably uses. These are very common. They've been around since I started my career in 1991 as a professional computer tech. If I still had a cable that powered a PC in 1991, it would look exactly the same and work exactly the same. It's one of the few things that has not changed in the last 35 years. 34 years. All right, here we go. There's a power button there. Blue light comes on. Oh, I'm starting to hear fans. Let's go to our video output here. Let's see if we get a signal. Give it just a second on that first power on, as it has to train all the memory and CPU, and could take a moment. In fact, I can put camera 1 right in a corner. We'll keep an eye on it together, just so you don't think you lost me. There it goes. Now, any subsequent boot up after this shouldn't take anywhere near as long. It's that first boot up. And we're going to check all of our specs on this. All the drivers and everything will be loaded. Windows will be activated, all that. It should be turnkey, plug and play, ready to go. I say should be because until we verify it, that's the point of these videos. Let's make sure that we have a full grasp of a reasonable expectation of what to receive. Sam Lazar wants to know if I got this for a client, I would put a heatsink on it. Yeah, there's many people online, very tech people, very techie, they consider themselves techie, that have an unhealthy obsession with heat. Me personally, I don't solve problems I don't have. If you're that kind of guy, have at it. That's your way. Me personally, if I don't have a heat problem, I'm not solving a heat problem because there wasn't a heat problem to begin with. So I completely disagree with you. We probably could not work together. My business is in taking reasonable steps to prevent problems that are likely. So while I try to be as proactive as possible, I draw the line at what I consider to be imagination. So there's a difference between what's possible and what's probable. And there's a lot of things that can happen that there's nothing you can do about. But what you have to understand, and I guess where you and I are going to disagree, is that the Ministorm engineers that work on this are a team. They're a group of people that all work together. It's not Sam Lazar deciding for everyone on the planet. It's the team designing cost consideration and running it through a barrage of tests, far more intense than anything you or I can do. And they have multiple people testing it in various environments and software configurations. And they are able to accomplish 10 hours of testing for every 1 hour you and I would do. The result ends up with a balanced platform that both saves money and makes the machine reliable to avoid support calls and to keep customers happy. So if you don't believe in the engineers, you probably wouldn't even buy one of these. You just build your own, because if you think you can outsmart those engineers, I don't know how realistic that is. But that's just, again, that's me. I think it's ridiculous and nonsense. However, they do include the heatsink for you. You could put it on if you want to. But the reason it's not put on is why? What do you imagine that reason is? So again, it's just the way I see it. You're not wrong. You and I are going to see it very differently. You will support your customers and I'll support mine, and you'll charge your customers what you charge and I'll charge my customers what I charge. So if I don't sell my customers things they don't need, then that's things they don't have to pay for. That's the way I see it. Now, if they need it, different story. Let me move my camera. You know what? Let's just get rid of the camera. I don't think we need my face up there. And let's go through our out-of-box experience here. Here we go. Continue in English, yes. And let's see. Country is United States, yes. Keyboard is US. Secondary keyboard, no. Let's not connect to a network. You notice I didn't have to hit Shift F10. You notice that the bypass NRO is done from Minisforum, so you don't have to do it. That is a nice touch. Thank you, Minisforum. Accept our license agreement right there. Username will be, I'm just going to put in user, just like I always do. I need to get my power cable off my keyboard. It's pushing down on the keys. Okay, username of user, blank password. And you know me, I like to keep location setting on, but I like to turn everything else off. That location setting is going to keep our date and time always synchronized, including daylight saving time and minutes that are gained or lost naturally just through the onboard clock, like any other clock you own in your life. And it's one less problem I got to deal with. One less clock, one less date and time I have to set. There's no more blinking 12, okay? So you guys don't need to set alarm clocks, and modern day alarm clocks, many of which will synchronize automatically through radio stations. And if you're running older equipment or cheaper equipment, you still may need to do that older stuff that you've done for 30 years. But when you're buying the latest and greatest stuff, you no longer have to do those things you used to have to do. Welcome to 2025, it's wonderful. And so once this is done, it'll take us to the desktop, and then what I can do at that point is plug the network into it, and we can start downloading any Windows updates that are missing, and we'll check our Windows version, which should be 24H2. Let me take a look in the chat room, see if you guys have any questions or concerns. I see Mark Leibowitz, a fellow technician that's joining us from the Chicago area. William Bird said Kingston drives should not have a heat problem. If you insist on Gen 5 drives, you probably want a heatsink. I don't think this supports Gen 5, does it? The Gen 4, as far as I know. Because a Gen 5 heatsink is usually quite aggressive and it may not fit. You may not be able to put the lid back on. Or the fans, those two large fans might get in the way of a heatsink that tall. But I'm pretty sure this is Gen 4 only. When we looked at the specs, I didn't see anything that said Gen 5. Did you guys see something I didn't see? All right, let me grab the network cable and let's plug it in. I can use either of the 10 gig ports back here. I think, I don't know what just happened. I lost my video for some reason. Are you coming over here to admire the machine?
I really want to come listen to this.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty quiet right now. It's probably hovering. Want to join me over here?
I do.
It's probably hovering around 15 watts right now, the power consumption. But I understand if we really hammer on it, it will start to sound like it goes in a rack. All right, so while you're admiring that, let's just take a look at the...
I really want to use this.
It'll be interesting.
This is awesome.
It'll be interesting if this could outperform your $3,500 Pro Art.
Right.
That's only 6 months old or 8 months old, whatever it is.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome, but this...
And it'll take two people to
This
carry down.
might be a little bit more awesome. I don't know. But I am very intrigued by this, and I think the build is top notch.
So far, so good. Pick it up. Feel how heavy that is.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Pound for pound, you're getting a good deal.
That's great.
I just like to turn a couple features on here. It's just, again, my preference. It says there's an optional update available. I don't know what that's for. Looks like network card. All right, we'll take it. Let's write, oh, wow, it wants to restart already? All right, let's restart it. Now, the reboot should be a lot faster than it was on our first initial boot, so let's find out. Keeping in mind, it may still not be its peak performance if it's still installing an update during the boot process or during the shutdown process. So this still may not be an ideal, like, true measure as we continue to get it configured. You'll find I don't plug in any USB devices, no printers, no flash drives. I don't start installing any of my own software or customizing the computer until after I verified that the machine is operating perfectly. So if there's any problem that we don't expect, and believe me, nobody expects this, but when there's a problem and you've done a bunch of things to the computer and then restarted it, good luck. Good luck figuring out which thing you did that caused it to fail. Or maybe it was nothing you did. How will you know? I will know because I go through this specific process to identify if problems start to occur. I know immediately if it's before I've done anything, it's this thing's fault. If it happens after I start making changes or plugging in printers and flash drives and now suddenly I have a problem, then it's my fault. And I know immediately. I don't have to guess and wonder and throw darts at the wall. That's a bizarre way to go about trying to fix a problem. Just because you're impatient, you decided you wanted to spend 10 times more time. Like, how is that working faster? But that assumes there's a problem. Obviously, if you don't run into any issues and you decide to do that way, then you'll say, well, it was faster. Well, that's a toss of a coin, man. And if you're willing to toss the coin to determine the outcome of your day, you go for it. I prefer to have control of the outcome of my day as much as possible, so I don't get tied up on something for too long, if it's at all avoidable, or if I can make that a little more efficient or more optimized. So again, running a business, you've got to keep moving. You got to keep it moving forward. And at the same time, if you put a customer off, you're probably going to lose the customer. But if you put all your other customers off because you don't want to lose this one, the best thing you can do is work quickly, do it right the first time, save your customer money, get your customer up and running as quickly as possible. And I wouldn't recommend anything to you that I don't do myself. It's the same rule that applies to everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're in my life and I'm building a computer as a friend or I'm building a computer as a business, I always follow the exact same process every single time. That's just me. All right, let's right click. Let's go to display settings. Let me drop this down to 1080 so I can read it a little better. And let's go back to Windows Update. Right here and right here. So I know we had some more updates waiting on us. In the meantime, let's take a look at our system properties on Device Manager. So right click on the Start button, we go to System, and there's our AMD Ryzen AI Max Plus 395. And the Radeon, what is that, 8060S is what they're calling it. 128 gigs of RAM. Well, that's what Mara was drooling over. Windows 11 Pro 24H2 is already installed. And then the manufacturer's name and online support are there in the system tools. A lot of cheap off-brand labels that sell on Amazon. This is all generic, and good luck figuring out who they are. They'll take your money and you'll never hear from them again. But not Minisforum. Minisforum wants you to know who they are and how to reach them. like any reputable manufacturer. Also, let's look at the device manager. Right-click, device manager. And you can see here under network adapters, we've got the MediaTek Wi-Fi 7 and Realtek 10 gigabit Ethernet controller. And of course, MediaTek will also be the one who makes the Bluetooth as part of the Wi-Fi adapter here. Display adapter. Right there, that's the one built into our GPU. That's the equivalent of a 4070 in performance, or better in many cases. A little bit about the Nero NPU, the Nero processor. And then, of course, we've got all those USB 4 ports and other USB devices here. And our USB 3.2 10 gig per second Type A ports as well. All right, let me jump back over here and see if you guys have any other questions for me while we're waiting for updates to finish. I do hear the fan slightly cranking up a little bit. I feel the air coming out back here, but it's cool air, it's not hot. Well, it gets a little warmer if I put my hand right up against it, but by the time it gets back here, it just feels like air. And we really have to push this hard if we want to really listen to those max fan speeds, because my understanding is you'll know when they're at 100% speed. And that means you're really doing something. You are working on something. Elijah52 Dickens said, "Hey, Carey and Mara, that's a nice machine. I'm old school too. Weight is quality." It does seem to still hold true today. Mark Leibowitz said, "If you're a real IT pro, you'll spend too much time chasing real problems. You don't have time to fix phantom problems." Well, that's also another way of saying it, a little more succinctly. But more importantly, I don't want to charge my customers for things they don't need. I am a terrible salesman, I know. I don't sell them extended warranties, you know. And at the same time, we do regular preventive maintenance like Windows updates, deleting temp files, driver updates, things to prevent common problems, so we don't get viruses or ransomware. But it still requires their cooperation. They can't just go clicking on anything and think nothing's going to happen. And we work together. I'm on their side. I'm not there to be their competitor or their adversary, like some computer shops or IT shops just want to gouge for every nickel and dime they can get. I don't work that way. I've got to be able to justify it to the customer, because if the tables were turned, like we had somebody looking at the air conditioner unit here, and there's nothing wrong with it, and they said, "You need a new air conditioner." What are you talking about? That's a high-end brand name air conditioner. Yeah, and it's 10 years old. Well, how long do you think a high-end brand name air conditioner should last? Oh, between 10 and 15 years. Okay, we're on year 10. He goes, exactly, it's time to replace it. No, 10 years would be if you're not taking care of it. We've been taking care of this air conditioner regularly. What is the point of having you guys tune it up every year if you're still going to tell me after 10 years it needs to be replaced? Why did we do all that? If 10 years is the minimum, that assumes we did nothing. We get 10 years. And then he's like, well, there's a cheaper alternative to an evaporator. I'm like, dude, you know what? Thank you for coming out. Have a nice day. And we never called them again. He was very pushy, and all he wanted to do was sell us another $15,000 air conditioner. You're out of your mind. Nothing wrong with the one we have. But you know, you'd think in Arizona there'd be plenty of honest money to be made fixing, honestly, air conditioners. There's probably more work than one person could ever do in a lifetime just in August. So why they would pad the bill and mention unnecessary repairs. And the local news does stories on this all the time too. This company, you know, they're calling, customers calling us because this company's giving them the runaround, or they're saying they need things that other companies say they don't need, and they won't listen to us, so we're calling the local news for their customer advocacy unit, and they come out and then they make it all right. But you know, they're still the same with smartphone repair and computer techs, mechanics. It just makes me disgusted. If you can't make an honest living, find another job. Owlcatcher says, it appears Ministorm is selling this as somewhat of an AI machine and claim it can run 128-bit LLMs. Are you going to do any tests related to that? No, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing when it comes to that. I have never in my life as a real working computer technician have yet encountered a real life customer asking to pay me for services regarding AI. So please don't confuse me with the home enthusiasts that fulfill and populate the 99% of YouTube content. Because it's not that I think I'm better than them. It's that they're better than me. In the sense that somehow, some way, they know a secret where they can spend $2,000 on a computer, run LLMs for I don't know what reason, and still have time and money left over to pay the rent, the electricity, to go to the grocery store, to do the laundry, to get your hair cut, to go to the dentist. Like, how do people have this time? Is somebody else doing all these chores and paying all these bills? And how do I get a person to do that so I can stay home and play with LLMs? But if it's a business inquiring about wanting to run a local large language model, never seen that. It's still early. Maybe it's coming. But again, just as I don't fix problems that don't exist, I also am not interested in the enthusiast side of things because I don't have the luxury of spending that kind of time and that kind of money just because. I don't fly RC cars. If I have to fly somewhere, I get on a real plane. I don't drive remote control cars either. If I have to go somewhere, if I have to do something, if I'm going to buy a car, I want a real car. Mechanics don't often get called to fix remote control cars. You understand? If I was a mechanic, think of me as a mechanic, and you're asking me about a remote control car, I wish I had the time and the money to pay the hundreds and thousands of dollars that people pay for some remote control cars that are, you know, extreme. But those people fix them themselves. So the reason I mention this is to drive home that the kind of content I'm making here is practical, it's real. It represents the reality of business and not necessarily individual use case desires, you know, wishes. Most YouTube channels are already doing that right now. I don't want to add to that. There's more than enough. So if you're interested in that kind of content, you will find it on other channels. That's all. If we did the same thing they did, then what's the point of doing anything at all? If other people are already doing the same thing, why would we just add on to the same thing? So if you're looking for something different, you found it here. And the way that we're different is we show real world practical solutions. We're not into, you know, we sometimes will, just based on, there's what I want and there's what the audience wants. And there's nothing more frustrating to me than having a group of enthusiasts take over my channel by pressuring me to make content they want to see, when the whole point of this channel has always been for the average ordinary user. And sometimes I will pander that. I'll say, okay, well, the enthusiasts want that. And you know who watches those videos? Only the enthusiasts. All my regular viewers don't watch those videos. They tune in, they go, I don't know what this is. And I start losing viewers on my channel. So I have to be very careful to control my channel and not allow other people to control it. There's nothing wrong with asking. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, could you do this? But I don't just want to say yes or no. I want to explain why. Even if I said yes, I'll explain why. But until I personally have any need for LLM, I don't use it myself. I don't even know how. And I have no idea why I would want to. Now, if you'd like to give me an example to justify what benefit that has, please educate me, because I have no idea what you get out of that other than your own personal entertainment is all I'm guessing. But I'm trying to actually focus on practical matters. All right, so again, feel free to ask your questions, but there are certain things, certain lines we don't cross here. And if you're new here and you're not familiar, that's, you know, how would you know if you didn't ask? But I'm not attacking you. I'm just explaining the reason why. All right, so while this downloads, I'll look in the chat to see if we have other questions here. Chris wants to know, are there any options for KVM power control now that they moved away from the DC barrel jack? Are there any front panel power reset button connections exposed through an ATX header on the motherboard? That's a good question, Chris. One of the problems you're going to have is going to be being able to connect anything to this without having it fully exposed to the elements. The documentation online, their website that we looked at earlier, and I don't know if you were joining us earlier in the show, does specify there is a connector to connect multiple units together I've already lost the word. To cluster them. And then it does show a header that you can hit one button to turn the cluster on, the entire cluster. So I'm assuming the answer is yes. But as far as I know, there's no way to run that wire externally unless you take the entire 360-degree cover off. So I think the answer is yes, but under certain circumstance, like, you know, removing the cover, because there's no pass-through here at all. There's no plug for that on the outside. If the plug's internal, that would require you to leave the cover off. But it does appear, based on the website, that it does show a header there. Now, me personally, I would turn the unit on and off remotely using Wake on LAN, and that effectively does the same thing. Obviously, you don't have a physical hard power switch, but on the other hand, the folks over at Comet, they make the Comet KVM that has an accessory called the finger, and the finger is just a remote lever, and you stick it on tape with the lever over the button, and when you activate it on the KVM, then the KVM activates this little finger bot, and it pushes the button for you, so there's no cabling involved, which to me is a very silly way to go about solving the problem, but it just goes to show you there's more than one way to turn the power on and off. For that matter, they also sell remote controlled power surge protectors. So if you wanted to, it's a separate, unrelated to KVM, you could log into your surge protector, and then you can, based on whatever surge protector you have, turn off the whole surge protector or turn individual outlets on or off. Specifically, I want outlet number 2 off. And you just log into it like a web page, turn off outlet 2, whatever's plugged into outlet 2 powers off, you go hit the button to turn it on the web page, and then remotely it activates the surge protector outlet 2. And that could activate and turn the machine back on if you have the BIOS set to restart on power loss. There's many different ways you can accomplish this besides the wiring. So it does appear to have a connector, but how you would actually utilize it with the cover on, I don't know. So I would just do it a different way. William Bird mentions we could add the SiPed KVM internal card to this and then run the wires internally from the card to the board so that you could, I was thinking of the external KVM. You got me on that, William. That seems like it could be a doable thing. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, because I hadn't considered that. Good job. Let me go back and just look for any more updates here. Jesus thing. I click on things and before my finger's off the button, the screen's already loaded. So it's taken me a minute to react to that. So we're going to check again. Sometimes you get some failed updates here. Windows 10 and Windows 11 autocorrect, so there's nothing for you to fix. Just check for new updates and it'll self-heal and do what it needs to do. Sometimes these fail because they were installing two, one in the background and one we forced by going to Windows Update. And whichever one finished first succeeded, and the second one then fails. If that's the case, this won't show up anymore. On the other hand, if the update failed, it'll re-update again. It'll make another attempt. So it decides all this on its own. You don't have to do anything other than check for updates. And if you wonder where it went, it means it did install successfully. And if it comes back and tries again, well, it means it didn't, and it'll try again. In most cases, it will fail. It will, it will not fail on the second attempt. But yeah, otherwise, if it fails on the second attempt, it'll just keep appearing over and over and over. At that point, you need to ask for help. But we're far, far away from reaching that point yet. This should just self-heal and do what it needs to do. So everything looks good so far. Everything's normal. Now you notice, unlike the MS-S1, this does not have any of the SFP plus 10 gig network ports, because the MS-S1, you get two of those SFP plus ports. But I've never met a business or a home user, a small business, or even a medium business, or any home user that even knows what an FSP plus port is, let alone uses them. So again, a lot of what I'm showing you is reflected on my business. My YouTube channel is an extension of my business. I've been in business, well, I've been working on computers since 1991 professionally, where I'm held accountable and paid 8 hours a day pretty much to work on what systems we build, upgrade, repair, what customers roll in with. And then since being on my own, since around 1995, 96, I want to say, I have been responsible for getting my own work. And I do a lot of work with accountants, real estate agents, dentist's office, doctor's office. Who else? Typical small businesses. Some small health organizations in the medical field, stuff like that. And so what I'm here to represent is the business side of things, because I feel like very few content creators on YouTube exist that do anything other than play. And that's all well and good if you have the time, the money, and the interest to play. I have nothing against it. It's just way too much playing. I would like to see more balance. And I said, you know, somebody should really show what the real world is like if you want to do this for a living. Because if you're a true enthusiast, you'll get a job doing this full time. That means you really love it. But if you only love it when you're in the mood, you have a convenience and a luxury I wish I had. But thankfully, I love what I do. And being self-employed, there are things I just can't do. There's only one of me. If customers want VoIP installed, I refer them to somebody who does that. If customers want a MacBook fixed, I don't do that. If they want their iPhone or smartphone fixed, I don't do that. I'm one man. So I kind of stay in my lane. I know what I do. I know where my experience is. And that pretty much keeps me busy. So if you ask me, would I rather make money or would I rather play Halo? If you're going to pay my bills, I'm going to go play Halo. I'm not paying your bills. Well, somebody has to, but nobody has to play Halo. So, yeah, adulting. But this to me, in a lot of ways, this is way more fun. Are you coming? Are you sauntering in here to take another look? I haven't even run anything on it yet. Let's grab the utilities flash drive and run some tests. So again, even the utilities I run, they're going to be pretty basic, like Crystal Diskmark, that'll tell us the best performance possible out of the NVMe drive. I don't care about 4K transfers and IOPS and all that other stuff. this is all enthusiast level stuff. Never had a customer in real life ever in the entire history of my business ask me these kind of things. But what I like to be able to say to a customer is, hey, this drive, this component that we put in your computer is capable of this maximum speed, this maximum performance. It'd be like selling you a sports car, and I go, this sports car can hit 147 miles an hour. I don't think you're ever going to drive at 147 miles an hour. But if you're wanting a car that can do 150, this will not do that. 147 is it. That's all you're going to get. Most customers, their response is like, that's ridiculous, over the top. It would never even come close. But every once in a while, you get that customer is like, well, if I can't do 165, I'm not going to buy it. Okay, well, let's just save ourselves the sale and the heartache from both of us, and you can shop somewhere else. So what I'm interested in is, how fast can this NVMe drive go under ideal circumstances? What is its maximum best read speed? And what's its maximum best write speed? And there's nothing you can do to make that any better. That is the best you can hope for. That's why I run those tests. I'm not saying that's the speed you're going to get all the time. Under the right circumstances, this is the absolute pinnacle of what it can achieve. And if that's not good enough for you, open up your wallet and spend some more money. I got no problem with it. But again, never had that conversation with a real customer ever in the history of my business. That is an internet discussion that does not occur in real life, so far as I can tell. Mark Leibowitz, Frank Jimmy, we've got other texts in the channel. If you guys have had a different experience, and they're all over the country, we're not all neighbors, I would like to know if your experience is different than mine. Hey, there's Scott Merrill, Ask Your Computer Guy, joining us in the chat room. He says, I just wanted to stop in and say hello. Well, thank you. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. We're just about to run Crystal Disk Mark on this, so let me go full screen over here for a second, so as I can see what I'm doing. We'll click on the yellow folder. We'll go to my flash drive. This has all my utilities. So like CPU-Z, I use that to get system specs without necessarily having to open the case and use my eyeballs. Very useful when helping customers in real life, especially remotely. You know, I'm a big fan of VLC. I'm going to throw VLC on there simply because it's open source, and I use that as my media player. And I put this on all my customers' machines. And customers love it. I've never had a customer ask me to remove it. It plays all their media. And let's see, we need Crystal Disk Mark Portable. And we can grab Crystal Disk Info. And we can grab Cinebench, because this is definitely a Cinebench worthy machine if you want to measure the performance of this CPU, which should be outrageous. And our hardware monitor, if we want to keep an eye on our temps, just to see how hot it'll get and how loud. And Uncle Carey's Windows 10 Optimizer, we're going to throw that on there. My Windows 11 update fixes so that I can, where did I put it? Windows 11 network fixes. Yeah, right here. That way I can browse the network without having to have a password that Microsoft's starting to require. So that's installed and done. Let's do Crystal Disk Mark. I'm going to imagine we're going to be around maybe 6,000, 5,000, 6,000 megabytes per second. Let's see what it does here. It is a 2 terabyte drive. You see right there, it says 1906 gigabytes. So we're looking at 2 terabytes. Default, that's what comes with the unit. Yeah, so 6145. We'll go ahead and let that run. And in the meantime, let me jump back over to the chat. I see Mara's arms.
Sorry.
Well, you can stand back here with me if you'd like. Scott says, doing great. Happy Friday.
Right.
Is it tequila time over there?
I'm so excited by this. Holy crap.
Mark Leibowitz said, the only AI question I ever get is whether or not I'm afraid of being replaced by it. The answer is no. Somebody's got to fix the AI.
Oh my god, Ministorm did such a... Holy crap.
Scott says good afternoon.
Hi, Scott. This is awesome. You should be aware.
Oh, I think he can see with his own eyes. I think he knows what he's looking at.
Want everybody to know.
So we don't have anything real special on the NVMe drive, right? It's just a standard Gen 4 Kingston. It's nice that it's 2 terabytes instead of 1, but that's a nice upgrade.
We will be replacing it.
Yeah, we'll probably put like a 4 terabyte.
Or 8. I mean.
Yeah, the Western Digital 8 terabyte. If we took it out of the Pro Mac, the Pro Art, and put it in there, we'd probably want to put the heatsink on that one though. That's a Western Digital black, and that'll perform slightly better. You'll get about 7,400 out of that.
Oh.
Scott said he was just waving and realized you can't see him.
I can see you in my head.
He did say he was waving that way. He could have been waving like one of those used car balloon. What do they call those guys?
Air balloon guy.
Actually, we are looking right at you, Scott. Oh, I wasn't supposed to tell him.
We can see everything you're doing.
Yeah, and by the way, if you don't pay us a certain amount of money, we're going to release that webcam video. You wondered who sent you that email, didn't you?
Right.
You got me. All right, so just about done with our numbers here, and the numbers are exactly what I expected. So you could certainly go a little bit faster. It's probably not going to make that much difference. And you can add another NVMe drive in there as well if you need more capacity. So if you put 2 8 terabyte drives in there, you'd have a total of 16 terabytes of internal storage. But with that 10 gig network interface, you could go right to our Synology 1825, which has a 10 gig card.
That's why I'm so interested.
And just put all your stuff. That'll move the data over the network about 1,000 megabytes a second. Now that's a fraction of 6,000, but still, you have over 100 terabytes on the NAS. So it's not like it's going to take that much longer. Okay. Okay, so let me right-click and go full screen again. There we go. I'll save this results right here, file, save image. We'll say Crystal Disk Mark is the name of the file, Crystal Disk Mark. We'll make it a JPEG file, and we will put it on the desktop right over here and hit save. And that should put it over here. There it is, right over there. So now we've got those results saved. Now let's bring up hardware info, hardware monitor. Get to the good stuff here. Is this the one I wanted, or I wanted the other one? I wanted the other. Yeah, I guess they both do the same job. This chip is so new, it's really hard to find any comparisons for it. If you run benchmarks, it'll say this runs similar to, and it'll just be blank. So you got to give the companies that do the benchmarking software time to figure. Well, they got to figure out where exactly this kind of sits. It's a very unique PC, so it's hard to compare it with non-unique PCs, but they'll figure it out. Let me get back over to my PC testing because I didn't want that software. I wanted HWI. This one is the one. And reason for that is really just consistency. I want to see the same numbers between machines, or the same software between machines, so we know that there's accuracy, comparative accuracy using the same software. So we're going to go sensors only. Start. And close that, and we'll find our temps right over here. Core temperatures is what I'm looking for. Look how cold that is. It's in the 20s. Look at all those. Is that enough cores? Wow. All right, let's get that stretched up. And we'll bring that over here. And I'm going to get rid of camera 1 in just a minute. So, or I'll move it to the opposite corner. So just, if you're watching, bear with me here. If you're not watching, I guess you're not hearing a word I'm saying. Just occurred to me.
Playing in the background.
Now,
like a song that everybody loves.
are you suggesting people love me?
Maybe.
More crazy talk. All right, let's get over here to Cinebench.
Oh, I'm so excited for this.
And we'll start the warm up over here. We'll bring our temps back up over here. Let's see if I can pull this down to get more information.
Come on, beautiful.
Look how fast it's drawing.
No, I'm already super.
And then let's move us to the opposite corner so that people can see everything. So this test is a warm-up basically before the benchmark. It'll run for 10 minutes and then it'll start the benchmark and give us a score up here. And then we'll do our single core test, which means out of all these cores, it'll just use one of them for the next one. This is not a graphics test. This is a CPU test.
Wow.
Gee, I wonder what Mara thinks.
Gee, I don't know. Am I not clear enough?
Scott says he's got to bounce. He's got to do filming, editing, and tequila, the usual. Have a great stream.
I'm all about the, well, maybe not tequila, not big, but something similar.
Go make us something good to watch, Scott. I'll be looking for some
Yeah.
content later. Don't let me down.
Right. We need something to eat popcorn to.
Those roasted almonds you made are pretty good.
Oh, I gotta make. Oh, that's right. I'm gonna make a couple more batches of it.
Lynn's Music says this has more cores than an Apple shop.
All right. Well, I'm going to back up and.
It hasn't gotten really loud at all.
No, that's
got to be.
That's why I'm standing there.
I wonder if it's really when you're pushing the NPU on it, if you're doing like LLMs or some heavy, intense graphics tests, that'll probably crank those fans. I know they can get loud, and the machine doesn't feel warm at all. But I've heard the outside of the case can get warm, even though the inside stays cool, which is very strange.
I do a lot with.
Let me go full screen over here. What do our temps look like right now? Because we should be through the worst of the really heat intensive parts of the warm up. So I'm looking at the current row. Our current temps are still in the 60s. What? How could it just be in the 60s? Okay, what's the peak? What is it? Let's look at our maximum recorded temperatures. Are you kidding? 71.4 is the hottest it's got?
Oh. That's
like 20 degrees, 15 to 20 degrees cooler.
I am drooling.
Well, you know what? we're sort of have a bias on this because we're looking at the specs and we're like, this thing should be incredible. So if it sounds like we're shills for Minisforum,
should be. It is incredible.
It's living up to exactly what they said they were sending, which is why I said in the beginning of this video, I am so looking forward to today's video because of this. And what's interesting is when we're done with today's video, the goal is to put this on Mara's desk and just unplug all the cables out of the back of the ProArt. Let her put her software that she uses for the thumbnail creation, the AI creation that she does, and all the recipes she makes. Not that that's a big... Actually, that does take quite a bit calculating out the calories and all that stuff.
And all the images that
all the nutrition.
With the recipes along with your thumbnails and everything else.
Yeah, what's the program you use for the Affinity?
Affinity.
And she uses that to create those custom graphics that you see in our thumbnails. So she's going to be the ultimate test to see how does this relatively small computer that sips power compare at nearly half the price to the giant computer she's got that we just built about 6 or 8 months ago that takes 2 people to pick it up and move it down the stairs. It's a big monster that has to be blown out, as you know, it's a dust collector, and it sticks out from the desk, so every once in a while you bang your knee into it. This can sit right on top of the desk, and we could theoretically get rid of that big tower if Mara finds that this is better than the ProArt. I was going to say equal to or better than, but even being equal to it at a fraction of the size and power consumption, that may make it better than. Maybe. But we won't know until she starts using it. We can speculate all day long, but we'd have to put it in practice. So yeah, we'll find out.
Thank you for letting me come over here and check it out.
Absolutely. Well, we'll wait and see what the results are with regards to the actual real world use case scenario. But this looks very, very promising, and it was a lot less money than the ProArt. So I didn't realize I'm covering up the temperatures there. All right, so while we are waiting on that, let's go to your questions, if you guys have questions for us. Andy says it looks like the CPUs are running between 115 and 130 watts. That probably sounds about right. Terrell Cochran wants to know how loud he thinks this might get if Mara uses the 10 gig at 10 gig to the NAS as copper runs hot. Yeah, fair question. I don't think that the fans are really going to crank up based on the network card getting hot. Primarily what they'll be monitoring for temps, I imagine, would be the CPU and APU itself. Those are the things that typically are being monitored. But I don't know until we try it. But I would be surprised if the fans are at all affected. Woo, that thunder. I almost said thunderbolt. Thunderbolt. Oh, it's a miserable day out there. It is storming. The wheat trees are blowing.
It's not miserable. It's beautiful.
Sorry. Wednesday over there likes it.
Oh, yeah.
Nick Caffrey said that is the lowest temperatures on a CPU I have seen for a while. Right? How'd they do that? And it's not loud. So far, nothing is loud. Andy says, I just described a normal day in Ireland. Andy says they can hear the thunder. Yeah, the microphone's picking it up. Yeah, it's very unusual to have this weather in Phoenix, and it's always welcomed. Bring it on. Nick Caffrey wants to know, what's the story with the cores running at 4 degrees Celsius? Sorry, I haven't been paying attention. Are there any cores running at 4 degrees? That would imply they're not being used. Let me take a look. Oh, so cores 24 through core 31 look like there's some kind of an efficiency core. We could Google that and find out what's going on. But my guess, just as Intel has performance cores and efficiency cores, and then Intel has also introduced these ultra efficiency cores that are even lower wattage and lower power, lower heat. It looks like maybe AMD is taking a page out of Intel's playbook there. If we do, you know what, let me just go to Copilot here. What would we say? Cores 25 to 31. Cores 25 to 31 on AMD 395 Plus run very cool. So they're either idle, low CPU, they might have, there might be core parking going on where the core is not being used, so it just sits. It's not really being very specific for me on this. But my guess, if I had to guess, using what I know about modern day engineering on CPUs, which is about that much, they're likely just efficiency cores. Now we have a final score here, and 34,579 puts it way over everything on this list. All right, let's do the single core. That's only going to use one core out of all those 32 we've got. And it'll probably be like core 1 or core 0 here would be my guess. And again, we'll look at our maximum temps here. This is insanely cool. Like, I don't mean cool like neato. I mean cool like temperature-wise. It's very, very low temps. And as a result, the fans are pretty quiet. Now, I understand there is a benchmark for testing AI. We've never used one before. Is it Geekbench 6 or something? Who uses? Can't think of what it's called. I guess I can just Google it. Let's see if there's any free benchmarks out there for testing AI benchmark. I'll just type in free AI benchmark and see what comes up. Live bench. Oh, Geekbench AI. There you go. .629 meg file. Geekbench AI version 1.5.0. Okay, we'll take a look at that. Come over here. Very good. We'll let that continue. Let me jump back over to the chat room. Andy wants to know where's the slot to put in the ice. Yeah, don't say that word in the US right now. Let's see. How are they running so far below ambient temperature? I don't know. Apparently they got one hell of a cooler on there. So I'm waiting for this Geekbench AI to download here on the streamer, and then I'll move it over to the NAS. And then from the NAS, we can move it over on here, I guess. Or I just download it separately over here. Geekbench.com/AI is the website. And I don't know how to compare it against anything because I've never run this before, nor do I have any idea, what's a good number versus a bad number, and what does that mean in reality? How do we translate that into practical use case scenario when I don't have any practical use case to compare it to? But it, might mean something to some of you watching. So we're still doing another, looks like 5 minutes and 40 seconds of warm up before the benchmark will start. And again, looking at our current temps all down this row here, I have to assume, wow, that thunder. I have to assume this is efficiency cores. I guess since we have 5 minutes, I can maybe do a little more research, a little more in depth on that. Let's see if maybe I can ask Copilot. Maybe that'll be a more direct way. What kind of cores does an AMD 395 Plus have? "16 Zen 5 CPU cores. This chip launched in January of 2025. 32 threads with simultaneous multi-threading or SMT technology. 3 gigahertz base frequency up to 5.1 gigahertz boost. 1 meg of level 2 per core cache. 64 meg shared level 3 cache or L3 cache. AI acceleration includes a 50 TOPS or trillion operations per second NPU or neural processing unit, the XDNA2. The Radeon 8060S with 40 RDNA 3+ compute units. Chip is built on a 4 nanometer process by TSMC. It is designed for mobile platforms offering a powerful blend of CPU, GPU, and AI capabilities." Doesn't really tell me much detail about the cores. Tell me more detail about the cores. All 16 cores are full performance Zen 5 cores. Supports AVX, AVX2, AVX512, FMA3, BMI1 and 2, SHA, AES, cryptography and media, AMD-V, that's for virtualization, and Precision Boost 2 for dynamic frequency scaling. TDP is a 55 watt base. Oh boy, I hope we don't lose power today. 55 watt. Can you guys hear that? Oof. They might be wanting us to wrap this video up. We'll see how long we stay online. There's a big, that's the worst storm I've seen this year. Bring it on. I think we'll be okay. But if I suddenly vanish, you're gonna know why. All right. Did my download finish over on the streamer? It did. Let's open that up. Let's copy it to our NAS. Try and do 2 things at the same time. It's pretty loud. I don't know if you guys are hearing that. If I turn off my my filters. Let's see. Filters. Where'd my filters go? I'm going to turn all 3 filters.
It's crazy insane outside. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I think we're going to get flooded. I got a flash flood warning on my phone too.
Are they afraid your phone's going to get flooded?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you never know.
Or are you just flashing people on your phone?
Yeah, there you go.
It's a flood of flashings. That's a different warning.
Right.
So the audio quality is probably really terrible right now, but I've got all the filters and enhancements turned off so you can hear, ideally you can hear what's going on. All right, turn that compression back on and suppression back on. Todd Wickham wants to know, with the storm you have, are you not worried about your computer being damaged? What is it I do for a living again? If only somebody could tell me. No, of course I'm not worried about it being damaged. Do you know who I am? Are you new here? Bring it on. Frankie B said that was some deep bass. James Manley said that's an expensive PC. Is it worth the money? Well, you put one together with all these specs and tell me if you still think it's expensive. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get what you pay for. This may be faster than the ProArt $3,500 build we did for Mara. And with the coupon codes, this is about $2,000. Last I checked, $2,000 is a lot less than $3,500, which makes this not seem expensive at all. It makes it seem like a bargain. If you think an ounce of gold is expensive, have you priced an ounce of platinum? All I'm saying is one costs more than the other because they're not the same thing. So is it worth it? Well, is anything in your life worth anything? You know, the sad thing is when a loved one passes away and you have to throw out all their stuff. Like, that stuff was important to them. I cannot tell you how many times we've had this conversation where the siblings gather around and say, do you want any of, mom or dad's stuff? And there's like 1 or 2 things, I'll take this or I'll take that. And the rest of it gets donated. So we don't think it's worth it. None of us want it, but our parents wanted it and it was important to them. Is this important to you? Is this worth it? That's a question only you can answer. Oh, did our test finish? Or is it still running? I can't see it. Oh, the test is running now and it's just about finished. This is the actual benchmark running. And I still can't get over how fast those little squares are drawing. Like, have you seen us run this on all the other mini PCs? We've never seen it this fast before. This CPU is incredible. I'm blown away. And those temperatures, my gosh. Look at how cool it's running. But the real test is really into the graphics, right? When we get, because that graphics chip is built into the CPU, that adds into the heat of that chip. And that could significantly make a difference in the heat. So this is just running the CPU. This is business. And yeah, there's your final scores. And if we take a quick screenshot of that, so I hit function, print screen, I think is the button. Go to paint. See if we can paste these results. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. Start without my data. I might as well just answer all these questions and get it over with. Continue. Okay, close that out. Close all that out. Back to paint. Try that again without accidentally hitting the wrong button. We edit and paste. Yes. Okay, so that'll have my full screenshot, and we'll save that file. Save as JPEG. Put it on the desktop, and we'll call it Cinebench R23.jpg. Apparently I have caps lock turned on. All right, that's well and good. So I can close this now and close this now and close this and close this. And somewhere here I should have that screenshot. So we have it for our records that we've run it. I don't have to wonder, what did it say? Got it right here. Okay, got our scores. We've got our temps. And so if we go to, what is it, geekbench.com/AI. Let's try this out. You guys want to try this at home? You can download it for free and follow along with me and see how your computer compares. And open the file. Come on now. There it goes. Yes. Let's get this installed. I've never run this before, so time for a new experience, I suppose. I thought I was just shot at. Wow. Wow. That woke me up. All right, Geekbench. Welcome to Geekbench. Upgrade later. Purchase it. No, I just want to run the benchmark. Well, I guess there's not much to look at here. Well, let's see what it comes up with.
Power spike.
Yeah, I didn't see anything down here as far as power spike goes.
That must have all been, but yeah, power spike.
Well, that thunder, whatever that was, boy,
Yeah.
sounded like a gunshot.
Yeah, it hit everything. So at least where I was.
Well, hey, we're gonna make an adventurous live stream, the most exciting live stream ever made.
Right.
Who needs Mr. Beast? All right, let's go full screen again over here and let's see what the results say. Let me get rid of camera one for a second. Okay. According to this, we have a single precision score of 6379, a half precision score of 2602, and a quantized Score of 10,589. So is that good? I don't know. A little bit about the information of the machine it tested. And AI work performance here. If this means anything to any of you, I hope you enjoy these results. They mean absolutely nothing to me. But apparently, style transfers it does really good at, and pose estimation. So I imagine that means something to somebody. I imagine those are good numbers. Are they? I have no idea. I have no idea why you would even, how you would benchmark that against reality. I'm going to go ahead and run my optimizing tool on this just because. Hit apply there. And those access denieds are normal. That's just trying to turn indexing off on every file on the drive, and many of those files are in use by Windows right now, so they can't be modified while they're in use. And then hence the restart, that'll stop those files from being used, and apply those settings and restart. So we have indexing off, and all the hard drive space indexing takes up is now freed up for us to use what we want to use it for. And I'll come back over here to camera 1 just so you know that you haven't lost me. And yeah. James Manley said, money is never the problem. I'm not the one who brought up money. You literally brought up the money, and then the next thing you said is money's not a problem. Well, then why did you bring it up? I don't understand this conversation. He says, I haven't spent that much money for a PC in about 10 years. You review so many PCs, my head is spinning. I'm looking to invest in a new PC. Yeah, I can't help you there. You know, everybody's budgets, expectations, requirements, how they use the PC, what they expect, it's unique to you. But all I can do is provide you with the information in the hopes that the more information you have, the more accurate your decision will be. But that decision is up to you. I don't know what else to tell you on that one. But this, what I can tell you for sure is this is unlike anything we've ever tested before. This stands on its own. Does that by default make it better? Well, for many people, in the way that I'm defining this as being the best mini PC we have ever seen, that obviously means something to me. But to others, it may be completely meaningless and hold no value. When I speak words, the weight of those words varies depending on the ears of the person hearing me. I can speak the same words that can change somebody's life that somebody else wants to just turn the volume down and they find it annoying. They're the same words. So I'm just hoping to convey information so that when you make your decision, you make an informed decision, or at least a more informed decision than you would have made had you not had the additional information I provide. If you have very specific concerns and you want to ask if this will meet those concerns or any other machine we've looked at, feel free to ask. We might be able to answer that question if it's specific, but you know, it's like picking a car. What car should I buy? How much money do you have to spend? Do you want a truck? Do you want a minivan? Do you want an SUV? Are you towing? Do you want something electric? Are you going to be driving off-road? You know, do you need a lot of seats? Do you want a two-door convertible sports car that's fast? Or do you want an energy efficient, you know, electric vehicle or hybrid? Do you want 2 doors? Do you want 4 doors? I mean, we can go on all day. What color do you want? So kind of give you the basics of what each model offers. And then when you get into the nitty gritty and the detail and ultimately the value and the warranty and the service, comfort, gas mileage, you know, it's for each of us to make our own decision. That's why you don't see a series of cars on the road that are all one after the other, like Soviet Russia with socialism, and everybody drives the same car, everybody lives in the same apartment, everybody has everything the same. The freedom is also the burden of making your own decisions. So there you go. If you don't want to make decisions, just go buy an Apple computer. They'll give you a couple of choices and that's it. And the price is the price. There's no better deal. Nobody else can sell it at any other price. So if you prefer to not be burdened with the, I don't know if this is good, I don't know if this is worth it, then you can just buy Apple. You'll pay the same price everybody else pays. You get the same thing everybody else gets. And Apple is a very large company, and it's pretty clear that a lot of people, not the majority of the market, but a lot of people prefer to have that burden removed. They see choice as burden, and they'll pay extra to have somebody else just decide for them, and it'll be the same as pretty much everybody else with just little variations here and there. And so that's why these worlds exist. That's why Microsoft exists. That's why Linux exists. That's why Apple exists. It's to accommodate what different people want. Technical people generally like Linux. Non-technical people tend to prefer Apple. And then when it comes to, doing work, most employers prefer the Windows operating system to avoid expensive employee training costs. So Windows makes up the vast majority of operating systems used in the world, with Windows 11 leading that. Windows 10 is probably second, and then somewhere below that, Apple. And then you get Android and such, Chromebook. And which one's better? Whichever one you have that you like is the better one for you. Whichever one I have that I like is the better one for me. It's really no more complicated than that. I think my computer went to sleep. Yeah, it did. All right, let me turn the sleep off because I didn't realize I failed to do that. Whoops, wrong screen, Carey. Let's go over here. Let's go full screen for me. And edit power plan, and we'll change that to 3 hours. It's been at 5 minutes this whole time. All right, took me a while to figure that out. And then I don't like this little cartoony deal down here on my search bar. That's called the search highlights. HIGHLIT. Am I spelling it wrong? I am spelling it wrong. HIGHLI. Why is it not coming up? HIGHLIGHT. Highlight search. You see all these magnifying glasses? That means it's going to search the web. I'm looking for the local. Let's do highlights. Permissions? No? Okay. Search permissions. How about that? Search permissions and history. That's what I want right there. And then if we scroll all the way down, show search highlights, turn that off, and then my little cartoon goes away. All right, took me a minute. Now, you have noticed that we're on 24H2 of Windows, yeah? Paul Thurrott. Paul, Thurrott, has a great article expressing how you can have Windows, and we'll cover this maybe on Sunday, we'll go through it. But if you want 25H2, it's been released by Microsoft. It just hasn't been distributed yet. So at Thurrott.com, he's got an excellent article here explaining that if you're running on an ARM-based Windows or regular Windows, x64 or ARM64, there's a whole new ISO image. It's about 8 gigs to download. So you know what that means. I'm going to have to update my Windows 11 installation media, and I don't have to wait for Microsoft. I can do it right now. It looks like there's an updated version of Rufus so that we can continue to disable the requirement for a Microsoft account. All those clickbait fearmongers that created content crying and whining about how you need to be worried that 25H2 the bypass NRO doesn't work anymore, is all for nothing because you just make your image the same way and you never deal with it. Maybe if you bought a pre-built computer with 25H2, then using the alternative method makes sense, but why would anybody freak out and panic? And why are those videos getting thousands of views? Because that's the culture we live in today, unfortunately. I don't wish to participate in that. But there is your ISO image you can download. This is the official release. This is done. It is no longer in beta. It is no longer in testing. It is released. If you've been keeping up on your Windows 11 updates, then all you need is this one little update right here. If I click on that, you'll see how fast that downloads. And if I right-click on my Start menu, go to System, we can verify we are running 24H2. And if we click to open this file, and you will get this, by the way, Microsoft will offer this to you when it's your turn. If you want to skip the line and you want to jump ahead, if we hit Restart Now, we now have 25H2. That's all there is. That's it. It's literally that small. And the ISO image, the full 25H2 Windows install, contains all of the updates since October of 2024, all the way till today, or close to today, built right into that Windows ISO image. So the reason why the 25H2 update is small is it's just the addition to the updates you've been getting all year. But all those updates all year have all been cumulatively put into the new ISO image, so that when I do a new install of Windows 11 Home or Pro from this point forward, I'll have all those updates already built in. And then I only have to get new updates that come out since then. So just that quick reboot, right click and go to the Start System option here. And now we should see 25H2. Oh, we don't. We don't. First time for everything. I was fully expecting that to say 24H2. Whoopsie. And more testing needs to be done. No, that is the final version. What have I done? Windows 11. Did I download the right thing? Did I download it for ARM? Hold on. Did I download the right one? Let me come back over to Paul Throat's channel. I might have downloaded the wrong one. No, that's the right one. All right, that's the one I picked. This is the X64. That's what we've got. This should be the exact same file again. Why did that not work? Updates already installed on this computer. Okay. So why doesn't it say 25H2? Hey, nothing like a live video to work the bugs out. You know what I mean? Crazy. So on Sunday's video, we're going to go through this and we're going to create a new installation media and install Windows 11 just like we always do. But when we're done, we'll have 25H2. We will not be required to use a Microsoft account. We're going to make that ISO image the same way, or make our bootable image from the downloadable ISO image from Microsoft, which Paul Throat has got the link to. We'll overwrite our old installation media. And the only other thing I'm thinking of is maybe I'm missing some updates, but I thought I'd check that out. You definitely want to make sure you're current with all your updates before you grab that one. And it doesn't seem to be hurting anything. It says it's installed, but for some reason, oh, see here, this could be a problem. I probably needed this installed first. Do make sure that you have installed all the latest updates before putting 25H2 on, or it may not work. Who'da thunk? So we'll check that one more time before we wrap it up for today. And if you have any questions, about this unit or other tech-related questions, this will be the time to ask. I guess I don't need my flash drive plugged in here anymore. Set that in here. Scott's talking about how Mike's Unboxing showed this in a short video. Oh yeah, Mike's Unboxing, a good friend of the channel, recently did a video covering this as well. And I imagine you're going to see that more and more content creators covering this as they raise awareness to end users. You will get it automatically in time, but if you just want to jump ahead, that's that easy to do. It's a very simple thing. Bajin guy said he just ran the Geek Benchmark AI, just for the heck of it on his machine, 1732 on precision, 836 on half precision, 2043 on quantized. So yeah, those numbers seem like they're quite a bit shorter, smaller numbers than this thing. But there you go. And he's running an AMD Ryzen 5 3600X. I'm glad you ran it. You know, gives some people some perspective to compare it to. Certainly me, because I have nothing to compare it to. Scott says there were 2 updates after 25H2. Well, maybe I need these updates in order. I don't know why the version number didn't change. I ran it on 2 machines last night to test it, and they both worked flawlessly, so I felt it was a pretty safe thing for me to do during a live video on a machine that's brand new that I've never messed with before. But of course, Murphy's Law, alive and well. In fact, I ran it on the streamer. It just runs fine, no problems. It's only when I'm recording and I'm live. That's when there's going to be a problem. Of course, of course. So. Scott Measures, it says, because it says 24H2 download. No, it doesn't. It does not say that. It says going from 24H2 to 25H2. I'd strongly recommend you pull up the website and reread what you think you read. But I appreciate the attempt of explaining it. Let's see, if we go back over to there, now I can see again. Oh, that's a big download. Well, we'll see what happens after these 2 updates. If our version in system changes to 25H2 on this. Again, on Sunday, we'll cover the gamut, right? We're going to say, look, let's take my Windows 11 flash drive, and every year around this time of year, sometime in October usually, I have to create a new bootable flash drive. And what I mean by that is, when Windows 11 first came out, a year later, actually they were updating every 6 months, and I was doing this every 6 months. Now they've decided to do it annually, so I don't have to do this as often. But I overwrite this, I erase this, which is why I don't like using Blu-rays and such like that. Not only do most computers not have them, not only are they slow and expensive, but this little flash drive, I can reuse it for years and years and years. So what I'm going to do is just I'll download the latest version of Rufus, R-U-F-U-S, just Google it. I run the portable version of that. I download that ISO image from Microsoft, or you can use the link on Paul Thurrott's article. It's taking you to Microsoft. I tell Rufus to burn that image onto this disk, in this flash drive, and erase everything on the flash drive. That's going to put Windows 11 25H2 on here when it's done. And I check the box that says do not enable automatic encryption, and I check the box that says do not require a Microsoft account. This is something Rufus offers uniquely. Other than that, it doesn't modify the installer. So then Rufus makes it with those options that I've selected, and I'm good for the next year until 26H2 around this time next year, and I will do this again. But the reason I do that is so for every new install I do, I don't have to wait for all the updates that have come out since this was made. So if this was last made last year, I've got a year of updates to download after this is done. When I refresh this, it'll have all the updates from the last one baked right into it. So now we're starting clean again, moving forward for the next 12 months. So on Sunday, we'll do that live. We'll update this live. We'll download Rufus live. We'll download the ISO live. And then we'll wipe a computer and reinstall Windows 11. And we'll see if anything looks any different, behaves any different, and verify that we have 25H2 in our system properties. You have no idea how surprised I am that this does not say that. Really surprised me. But again, I'm not sure what's going on with that. But we'll see if these updates make any difference. Oh, perfect timing as I'm waiting for this update. Let's see what we got. Our friend Frankie B with an Amazon gift card today. Great stream, he says. As always. Great stream as always. I should probably get the syntax right. I love that mini PC. Thank you, Frankie. Very generous Amazon gift card from our friend Frankie B, watching us out of New York. And I think that catches me up. Again, if you have questions for me, I'll give you the straight answer, man. If I know it. Otherwise, we also have a lot of, I'm just trying to get this back in here. We also have a lot of very informed members in our community, and don't ignore their answers because a lot of times they have answers better than mine. I hate to do this while this is on. Because I didn't put the screws back in it, when I picked it up, it kind of slid back. And I guess I'm just having trouble aligning the ports with the holes in the bezel. There it goes. I just needed to not try so hard. It slid in all by itself. Yeah, I suppose I can put these screws back in now, can't I? Since we're waiting. I can't get over how quiet this is. Because I've heard rumors that this thing can get loud. But everything we've done has not worked it hard enough yet. It's crazy. That's crazy. None of that. Everything we've benchmarked and threw at it. It's like, okay, when you have real work to do, let me know. I thought that was going to crank it up. I wonder if there's like a graphics benchmark that would really push it hard. Unigen makes some stuff, right? Let's go over to port 3 for a second. Full screen over here for me. And we'll do this while it's updating. We'll do two things at once. Whew. That whole screen came up before I let go of the mouse button. Okay, we're looking for Unigen, I guess. Benchmarks, Sanctuary. I never even heard of that. Heaven. What else they got? These are old. Where's the new stuff? Yeah, let's see. GPU benchmarking. So. Geekbench. I haven't used Passmark in years. I forgot all about Passmark. Used to use them in the 90s. They've been around a long time. Burn-in test, performance test. Oh, they own MemTest. Oh. I don't really see anything for graphics though. What else can we look for? $2016. I don't want to see that. Oops, didn't want to close that. This thing's too fast. Okay, hold on. Heaven benchmark. Okay. Yeah, we've been running Heaven for years. Nova Bench, never heard of it. Catzilla, no idea what that is. Geekbench, of course, Geekbench is pretty well known. Cinebench is pretty well known. Ada Extreme, yeah. Passmark, yeah. 3D Mark. What do we got? Benchmark for all your hardware, Windows editions. 3D Mark demo, 3D Mark. Oh, the demo's free on Steam. I don't have a Steam account. Well, I don't know. What is wildlife? Are they only doing this via Steam now? Yeah, I don't know. We're still installing over here. Whatever this update is, it looks like it's a cumulative update for 24H2, and my guess is I needed this first. That is probably the issue, is I should have checked first and received this update, and then after this, then put the 25H2 in. So now I'm curious, will the 25H2 appear correctly in the system properties after this? That's what I don't know, but we're about to find out together. That's how I roll. Why is 25H2 not on Microsoft public servers? Well, you know, Microsoft doesn't really disclose to the public, especially considering the competitors they have, what their internal plans are. But what I can tell you is that they go through, Microsoft and any other software company, goes through a series of testing before they officially release anything. And while it's in alpha, usually the public doesn't get it. When it's in beta, towards the end of the beta, people will often be able to get that who sign up as a Windows Insider. And as they get feedback from the public who are testing it, they then get a RC or release candidate version. And the release candidate may be just one, or if there's enhancements and fixes that are discovered, you go to a second release candidate until you feel like, okay, the things that are remaining are nonsense, people, you know, onesie, twosies, that may have to do more with the end user or their configuration and not Microsoft's responsibility. Therefore, there's not another release candidate, but there could be. That's Microsoft's decision based on feedback. Sometimes you get one release candidate, sometimes you get two or three. As a result, once the release candidates have been solidified, they go, okay, there's no more polishing to do at this point, then we go to the gold. That means it's ready for distribution. So when it's ready for distribution, a lot of things have to happen internally. And if you've never worked at a large corporation before, you're going to be working with a team of about, well, anywhere from a dozen to 40 or 50 people. And together you will work to set up the website with proper information that is public facing. You'll make sure that you're on a part of the server that can take on the bandwidth. And you don't want everybody around the world all hitting your server at once, or nobody's going to get it. It's like trying to dial into a radio station to win free tickets to a concert. All you're going to get is a busy signal. We're so spoiled today, kids don't even know what a busy signal is. They try and explain that to somebody under 35 years old. They don't know what the hell you're talking about. Dial tone? What is that? A busy what? Signal? What's that? But as adults, we become so intolerant and accustomed to having everything right now the minute I snap my fingers that we often fail to consider the complexity involved in something worldwide. Windows is a worldwide use application, and as a result, if they were to just say, okay, everybody go and get this, they would probably take their servers down, and your download speed would be crap. So Microsoft will then, they have somebody who figures out all this math, and they determine we can have this many users, this range of users without severely impacting the servers, and they start rolling it out automatically. And in the meantime, as people talk and people watch videos, those are little niche groups overall, mostly, that don't have much impact on Microsoft one way or the other. If somebody's a real big popular content creator like Mr. Beast, let's say, Mr. Who's the Boss, Mr. Coffee, Mr. then they have a bigger impact on Microsoft servers. But when guys like us do it, what we're getting is the insider knowledge. So when it's released publicly, it's not insider knowledge anymore. Paul Thurrott is a Windows expert, and he can tell you what's going on behind the scenes far more than even I can. By far, a lot more than I can. And so he'll often be the first to say, okay, we're done with the release candidates. We have the gold standard that is now in process behind the scenes for worldwide distribution. But Microsoft has to control that very carefully, or they could collapse the servers. But it'll be available very soon. In fact, just out of curiosity, because I haven't looked, I don't know if they've updated the site yet, but it's just days away. Let's take a quick look. We'll just open up the browser and we'll say download Windows 11. I don't even have to spell it right. First site that comes up should be Microsoft. And it says here we can download Windows 11 ISO image, but it's not specifically, oh yeah, it is. Current release Windows 11 2024 24H2. Okay, so this is the official public information. Then there's the inside information on what's going on. So if you go back to Paul Thurrott's page, I do believe he explains why this happens this way. I think it's explained in the article if you read it. He's mentioning the ISOs first appeared on Reddit. And it is on Microsoft's official site. It's just not, it's not being marketed, but it is publicly accessible. Microsoft did not lock it away with a password or anything. You don't have to be a Microsoft employee. You don't have to have any credentials, and you will pull it from Microsoft servers. And if Microsoft didn't want you to do that, clearly they would have not made it available publicly. So it is, it is available publicly, but it's just for those in the know right now. And for that reason, they're just trying to get ready to be able to distribute it around the world without collapsing the servers. That's all. That's all it is. It's the same as every other update from any other big company. And if you have any reservations that you feel like, that seems sketchy, then just wait. You don't need it today. It's not a big deal. It'll come to you automatically when it's your turn in line. This is for people who don't want to wait. If it was sketchy, as a professional computer technician, I would not be standing here telling you about it. I have to hold liability and accountability financially for my career and my reputation in my real life business. And if I were to put this on customers' machines and it's not legit, I'm done. My YouTube channel's done. I'm not an enthusiast. I can't just go, oh, well. There'll be consequences for me as a business owner. So I don't take these recommendations lightly, but I'm also not necessarily recommending it. I'm saying if you want to do it, it's in the green. It's fine. I've done all the checking for you, so you don't have to wonder. That's my job. If I fail at my job, I lose my job. Is it the finished version or the beta? No, I don't recommend betas here. If it's a beta BIOS, that's a different story. But when it comes to Windows, I don't use beta versions of Windows. I never have, and I've never recommended them. No, this is the full. Again, the best thing I can tell you to do is stop using your imagination and read the article. And I do believe if you take a few minutes to read what is written, all your anxiety will be resolved. Now, if not, if after you've read the entire article, if you still have remaining concerns, absolutely come back and ask. But just to repeat myself for what's already been said is a little bit frustrating. And again, I wouldn't recommend a beta operating system. Never have. Not even on these new NASs where they're beta. I'm not using them, and I'm not recommending them until they're done. And even then, we'll see what they look like when they're done. But you'll get it automatically anyway. You don't necessarily need it today. Some people just like to be ahead. That's all. If you're one of those people, there you go. If you're not, there you go. That must be one heck of an update for a machine of this much power, RAM, and resources to take this long. That's why I tell you, when we're running those budget machines and it's like taking forever, I'm saying it's not the machine, it's Microsoft. Some way that they're doing their updates is very inefficient. So even the latest and greatest, highest performing Threadripper with the most amount of RAM you could put in it still takes quite a while on some of these cumulative updates in particular, and that's just Microsoft. Nothing you can do about it. As we wait for this to update, and then we'll reboot and see if 25H2 is working, I'm here to talk to you. So if you have questions for me, this is the time to ask. Scott mentions the release we're pointing to says release to manufacturing update 25H2. If you recall, if you go back years in my videos, I've shown you the RTM versions of Windows releases. Those are the only versions I ever show you. RTM means release to manufacturing. That's the version. Back in Windows 95, RTM was the version that was being sent to the factories to get pressed into CDs. So you couldn't download it on the internet back then. You had to buy the CD. So Microsoft would release or have an RTM version, and what that meant is that's what's going to the CD manufacturer. That's what's being pressed. So if you could download it, you want the RTM version. And it's the same today. It's just they don't press it the CDs anymore now. It gets done digitally instead of physically. David Graham, thank you for your kind words. Appreciate you, my friend. Andy says he can wait. Yeah, you'll get it with regular monthly updates. Probably, I'm going to guess it'll come in around the second Tuesday of October or shortly thereafter. And it doesn't seem to be a big deal. But I definitely want to update my installation media to 25H2. That'll be one less thing I got to do when setting up a new computer. And we'll do that Sunday. We'll do it live. We'll see how it works. We'll see if I have any other surprises like this, or if I make any other boneheaded moves, like, you know, not making sure I'm up to date before I put on the 25H2. Always make sure you've checked for Windows updates and you're fully updated before you try and put on 25H2. That's just basic knowledge. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Little too confident sometimes. Sam in the chat says, yeah, this is a big update. Took about 30 minutes to complete. Yeah, well, we might be here a few minutes. It's okay. I'm happy to hang out with you. Glenn's Music says, thanks, Carey, for your support. Well, thank you, Glenn. AC's Drafting says, RGB or no RGB? That is the question. Oh, no. No, it isn't. No RGB. That's the answer. And he says, thank you, Mr. Holzman, for a great small form factor computer review. And Miss Marlena, have fun with the new whiz-bang machine. Well, you know, she might have fun and she might have frustration. But when we put it in her hands and it's used in a real world use case scenario with the multitude of things that she demands from a computer, it'll be very interesting to see if this impresses her. I want it to impress her. I want to take that big monster tower downstairs and stick it in a corner somewhere. These days of these old big machines, I think they're numbered. I really do. I think in the next 2 or 3 years, they're going to all but disappear. There's always going to be enthusiasts. There's always going to be people that'll have them. But that number seems to be dwindling at this point. And as far as I'm concerned, good riddance. I'm getting too old to pick that stuff up. It's getting too big, too heavy, and I won't shed a tear when they all go bye-bye. In fact, I will lead the way. I'll take these any day of the week. These are also a lot cheaper to ship. There's less to break in shipping. And in many cases, a better value for the dollar overall. What you're getting for your money here is a much better value than something equivalent in a tower computer. Think about that. It's better in every way. Cheaper to run and the cost of electricity. Less desk space, less dust collection. Many cases, because you're not dealing with a liquid cooler, you don't have that future failure. That will happen. It will happen. All liquid coolers fail. Usually average of about 5 years you'll have to replace. Some go a little shorter than that, some a little bit longer, but overall about 5 years. So you got more longevity. Here we go. Now we can restart. Cheaper price, cheaper cost of electricity, less desk space, cheaper to ship, less things to break. I don't see any downside to this at all. Like, bring it on. Why are desktops still here? Buy desktops. As soon as they can get these GPUs up to and past the performance of a discrete graphics card, which they're getting closer and closer to, you could say goodbye to discrete graphics, except for extreme case scenarios where people are doing terrain mapping and things like that. Like, you know, high-end, super-end stuff. Pixar making a movie or something. But again, it'll be very niche, very expensive. That's where I see it going. I could be wrong, but I hope I'm not, because I think that's a great future. John Paul Bacon said there are refillable all-in-ones. Yeah, but that doesn't mean your pump's going to keep working. It also doesn't mean that the plates in the radiator and on the cooling plate doesn't get clogged up. And again, even if they don't, even if all you have to do is refill your all-in-one, you'll never have to do that if you never have an all-in-one. And that also means you don't have the added expense of buying the all-in-one, the added fans of an all-in-one. That can also fail, but not so likely and less expensive to fix. And then, of course, dealing with the ultimate failure of the all-in-one, whether that's because of a pump failure, clogging, liquid deterioration, or evaporation, where then you have to spend more money to buy more liquid to fill it, and like putting gas in a car, it never ends. But to each their own. If you don't mind that madness and you like to spend that money because it makes you feel good, I'm not telling you not to, but you can start without me. If I'm not there, you go ahead. Keep doing what you're doing. I don't mind. You won't catch me doing it. Not unless I'm getting paid. I'm not paying money to do that. Yeah, this is a big update. So we'll see what happens here when this starts up. I'm surprised it let me put 25H2 on like that. It should have checked and said, hey, you need this prerequisite first. Michael Warner said, I never had a liquid cooler fail on me, but then again, I've never used one. Yeah, that checks out. Okay, it says I'm 100% there. Okay. Is it going to go to 101? What's happening right now? Scott says, Carey, you might need to run the 25H2 installer again. I was thinking the same thing. We'll wait and see. But if it's still showing 24H2, that's my plan to try it again. But if it does show 25H2, we're good to go. AC's Drafting said his work computer is still going strong after 5 years on a liquid cooler. I'd never bother with one in my home computer. Yeah, like I said, 5 years is an average. You know, you might have a German Shepherd and somebody says the average lifespan of a German Shepherd is 12 or 13 years. Your German Shepherd might die at 8. Somebody else's German Shepherd might die at 17. This is just an average, and it's what people should expect. That being said, having those expectations, you shouldn't be surprised if after 5 years or nearing 5 years you have a failure, because that falls right in line with the statistical average. But it doesn't guarantee. It's not a promise. It's not an expiration date. It's an average. Some people will have a higher average, and some people, or a higher result, and some people will have a lower result in reality, especially when your sample size is 1. It's hard to collect a lot of data off of just 1. When you have about 10,000 or 100,000 of them, then you're likely not going to have all 100,000 of those lasting the way the one you have has lasted. And then you'd have to figure out how many have failed in this period of time, over how many did we buy, or what's our sample size and what's our average. And that's how we get to these numbers. Okay, I think we're on our final reboot. And drum roll. Still. Wow. Microsoft should have called that one 25H2. That's the length of time a big update normally takes. Like 24H2 took a while, 23H2 took a while. 25H2 happened quickly, but the cumulative update, that's the one. See, just when you think you got it figured out, Microsoft will change it on you. Nothing better than a live video, let me tell you. You never know what's going to happen next. Let's check our system properties. What do we got? Hey, hey, hey. What's that say? A-OK. Installed right away. Not exactly. Not exactly. All right. So that was that. That answers that question. And, you know, something I'll keep in mind on Sunday. On Sunday, what I'm planning to do once again is I'm going to do the full Windows 25H2 media creation using Rufus. And then we're going to install it. We'll reset one of the mini PCs and go through the full installation like we always do and see if we notice anything different. Sometimes they change the installer a little bit. Like when they went to 24H2, when I go to delete partitions, like on a drive I want to erase first, it's got this weird delay that Windows installer never had before. Will that delay still be there? Or will it be back to the way it used to be, where it was almost instantaneous? We'll find out on Sunday. Does Rufus still work with it? I don't know. I do know. We'll find out on Sunday. And then, of course, if you have 24H2, do you have to reinstall Windows? No, of course not. Just download the installer. Do you have to download the installer? No. It'll come automatically when Microsoft puts when it's your turn in line. Microsoft can distribute it. They cannot distribute it to the whole world at once. If you want to grab it now and avoid the line, grab it. If you don't, wait till it's your turn. All of these are your decisions. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just making you aware of some choices that you have. And you don't have to pick one at all. Not making a choice is still your choice to make. All right. Gary Tatum says, Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Scott says, thanks, Carey and Mara, for a great stream. Thank you, Scott. Larson says, I'd like to see Carey on To Catch a Predator. Which end of that? The Chris Hansen part of it? Because that part I wouldn't mind. Hey, why don't you have a seat? Did you come here looking for somebody today? What brought you around to the neighborhood today? What do you have in your pockets? No, don't get up. Have a seat. Or did you want me on the other side of the table? Thanks. John Paul Bacon says, wonderful stream. Take care. Peace and blessings for everyone. Right on. Back at you, my friend. A shout out and a thank you, of course, to Frankie B for his generosity. Glenn's Music, thank you. Thank you to our friend Buster, as always. Great friend of the channel, wonderful member of the community. I know it's late and he's sleeping over there right now in Scotland, but hopefully we'll see all of you again on Sunday. And we'll look forward to diving deeper into this 25H2 if you're interested. If you're not interested, there's probably NFL football you can watch instead, I'm sure. Tomorrow I expect our friends Doug Betts, live Windows training with Doug Betts will probably be live tomorrow, I'm expecting. Mike's unboxing reviews and how-tos often goes live on Saturdays as well. And then I'll just take the day off, and then they usually don't go live on Sundays, so then I'll go live on Sunday. Not that there's any rule, it's just because I need a day off anyway. And thanks to our friends at Minisforum, they couldn't have had better timing getting this to us. This was released today. Today, this just got released. Available for ordering. It won't ship until the end of October. So we're one of the lucky ones in that we got an early review on the day that it was announced that you can buy it. If we would have reviewed this anytime earlier, if that were possible, there's nothing you could do to buy it. So I don't like doing that. If I want to review a product, I want you to be able to buy it. If you can't buy it, what's the point? If a company says you got to sign a non-disclosure agreement, no, I don't. When you're ready to make a public announcement, then let us know. I'm not keeping secrets from my audience, and I'm not going to tease my audience with a product that isn't released. I don't do that. I have never done that. It's at least available to order. It could be pre-order, right? But in order for it to be pre-order, it still has to be released. There's a reason you don't see me talking about the GLINet Comet Pro. It's only a Kickstarter. When it becomes a real product that I can show you and you can buy, like at Amazon, we're going to look at it. I promise you. But not in this stage. I want no involvement with what's going on with that. And I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's not my business. I just don't promote it. When and if it becomes available to buy on Amazon, we'll order it. Hopefully it'll be a pre-order, much like the Nano KVM Pro is available on Amazon right now. You can go and buy it, and it'll ship in about 2 or 3 weeks. So it's not yet been released, but it's got its own Amazon page. They're collecting money for it, and it's as good as done. With Kickstarter, you never know. You never quite know what's going to happen. So I will not promote that stuff. I might share looking at things, say, hey, look what I saw on Kickstarter. That doesn't mean I'm promoting it, or certainly don't have one on the desk. You know what I mean? Until it's a final product, there's no point in showing it to you. It's like, do you like this? Yeah, well, you can't have it. Kind of rude. Isn't that rude? All right. Thank you to Mara, of course, for all the work she does in the background. I know she's eagerly anticipating putting this on the desk and getting it configured. And then we'll report back. We'll have her report back if it falls short in any way or surprises her in ways that exceed her expectations. Either way, we'll find out. Worst case scenario is she'll go back to the ProArt. We'll just unplug it and turn it off. Let her use this, and let her use it as long as she needs to make up her mind. She can have one or the other, but she can't have both. Life sucks, doesn't it? Which one would you rather have? And I think that's going to speak volumes, honestly. Based on how Mara uses the computer, it'll be very interesting to hear the outcome that's true and honest based on her particular expectations and values. So we have to give her enough time to familiarize herself with it, and then to evaluate, is this better, is this worse, is it basically the same except for the size? Stay tuned to find out. AC's Drafting mentions, yeah, hit the like button on the way out, hit the subscribe button if you haven't before, it costs you nothing. And thanks to all of you for hanging out with us today. We appreciate having you here. All the members, thank you guys for making these videos possible. Without our members, we don't have a channel. But for everybody that watches the videos and participates in any way, well, we appreciate you very much, and we're glad you're here. We hope that if you're watching, you'll consider interacting with us if you haven't before. We'd love to see you in our chat room. That'll wrap it up for me for today. Again, thank you, Mara. Thank you, Minisforum. Thank you, viewers and members, friends. Thank you to Buster and Frankie B, particularly. And I've left someone out. Long show. Brain dead. We'll see you on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Until then, bye for now. And also remember, all the links are in the video notes below this video for pre-ordering this with the coupon codes. There we go. All right, we'll see y'all very soon. Bye for now.